I think it's working. The good news is I think it's working. So we're gonna give it a few moments while I hold this strange burning thing in my hand, everybody. I'm gonna just keep holding this strange burning piece of wood until I see people have shown up in the strange multi-dimensional doorway. Actually, no, I'll definitely blow it out. But yeah, come on in, everybody. The time is now. It has officially started. I don't know how you made it here. Somehow you made it. We have all made it through the twists and turns, the traumas and the triumphs, the craziness of the modern world, all of the worst days of your life. The really cool thing about it is we survived it all right, the best days as well, and somehow we ended up here. I don't know how we ended up here, but I believe the year is still 2022, at least for most of us. As we do know, in some of the African countries or other places of the world, they are on a different calendar. So who knows? They might be in 2018 by now. Regardless, you guys have made it here. So thanks for showing up. Hello, everyone. Hello. And so we're just going to purify our local area over here. Some of you guys will smell a faint whiff of Palo Santo smoke in the background behind you. That's the nature of multidimensionality. We're all literally sharing the same space in this very moment. And so we're just going to kind of clear it up for everyone. Let us know how you're doing. Hello, everybody. Good to see you. Ria, Leyland. How's it going? Sarah Ohm, Jamie Heskins, Tasha Huck. What's up? Good to see you. Purple Door, Cassandra. Hello once again. We'll be seeing you in a few, or maybe next week. Is it next week? My concept of time is horrible. But yeah, come on in, everybody. Sarah Ohm says, I always say that too. My all my good and all my bad has brought me to where I am. I'm totally all of your worst days of your life have led us to this and the best ones as well. So congratulations, guys. We survived everything. And here we are, still mostly human. I would like to think that we're still mostly human, although I happen to know, and well, a lot of us know at this stage, there's a tremendous amount of non-human energy roaming the earth plane right now. Some of it's causing chaos. Some of it's causing amazing things to happen. Some of it's us literally doing it to ourselves. But anyway, thanks for rolling back in. I guess the name of the show, because it was an accident, like we didn't really plan on creating it, but it showed up. It's Live from a Strange Realm. However, I think this week we're going to call it Live from a Realm of Pure Chaos. Although, we're not necessarily pure chaos, but yeah, come on in, everybody. So we're last week we had our regular Patreon monthly group meeting, which was a really fun thing we did. Myself and Honora did a bunch of readings. I think that was last week. My concept of time is so bad; it could have been 2 weeks ago or last month. However, so we are back once again, and we're actually going to be doing this again tomorrow night as well. I don't know why. People, who knows why? We just keep doing this thing. It's kind of a project that I'm supposed to be doing right now, and so we're going to be doing this again tomorrow night as well, 2 hours later. So for those of you guys that are just hanging out, kind of drifting in the astral realms, come on down to Earth for a little while and join us tomorrow night as well at 8 p.m. But tonight we have some cool stuff. We're going to be talking about remote viewing. We're going to be talking about ET experiences. We're going to be hearing from Ileana the Star Traveler / El Ka on Facebook. She's got some other names too, as far as I can tell. She's going to be hanging out. She's watching in the background, probably cringing already, but we're going to be talking about some of her experiences and just the wildness of what I call the sort of outer fringes of the SSP reality, the strangeness of our realms. And so she's going to be popping in a few moments, and we're going to be talking about some strange things. And so one of the things I want to get better at doing is bringing your guys' questions in. So please throw your questions in the chat as we're talking. Sometimes I'm really good at like following up and getting to them. Sometimes like I'll just go into a weird zone and it's like, I will miss everything. So sorry about that in advance, but yeah. And also here's a couple really quick announcements, because we have some cool stuff coming up. We'll be talking more about Secret Space Program conference stuff tomorrow, but that is a thing. Everyone that's been watching this knows we're going to be going to the Secret Space Conference out there in Grafton, Illinois. That's next week. We'll talk more about it tomorrow. I'm not going to blow it up too much here, but on another channel, in another realm, we're also entering the next stage of what I call intuitive activation and psychic / intuitive development. It has been the accidental hallmark or the cornerstone, maybe that's a more appropriate word, of just the work that I've been doing alongside Honora for the past year or so. A strange gear shifted for us in the past year and a half, And we started doing a lot more training, a lot more classes, a lot more instruction, which in my opinion, I think is one of the most important things we can do right now for everyone that's stepping into their own individual missions. Those of us that are understanding and becoming more familiar with, the fact that everyone is psychic, everyone has abilities. And so for those of you guys trying to open up the next wave of intuitive activation, we have, as you all know already, the multidimensional tarot class coming up. It's coming up on May 22nd. And I'm excited to see people have been signing up for it. It's a really cool thing. We might have a larger group this time. We are capping it at 25 people. So just for the sake of everyone's sanity and everyone getting what we can, and literally learning the meaning of every single tarot card in the whole entire deck, and how to actually create a spread, and what do they all relate to from a practical perspective, so that everyone can kind of get pulled up to speed. We do have to kind of limit it. So there's 25 spots available. And so we're looking forward to seeing who else is going to be joining us on that strange mission. It's coming up May 22nd. So unfortunately, Mohiduba, we're not doing readings today, but we're going to be doing them in the future. Definitely. Thank you for showing up. This is more about kind of discussion of the strangeness of our multidimensional experience. But anyway, I think our audio is good. And here's the thing that we do on every episode, you guys. Literally every time I will click over to Facebook. Get ready. Here we go. We're going to go to Facebook realm, and we are going to see if they have allowed our stream. It's just part of the journey. Every time I do a live, I think last week was the first time they ever allowed it, and they have blocked it again. So we're going to set it to public. Okay, cool. I always get weird about clicking off the screen. But anyway, so hello on Facebook. We'll probably get about 2 or 3 individuals over in Facebook realm. But anyway, it's really good to see you guys. Good to see you. Let me know if you have any questions before we get started here. Miss Liz says, that was only a week ago. It was, right? We had this whole massive group thing that we did last week with all these people. We did 3.5 hours long of just readings for everybody in the Patreon group. For anyone that's interested, we're going to be doing it again, probably in about a month, maybe a little bit more. So I'm not sure what the next meeting is, but you can find this at patreon.com/Blue Flame Collective. Blue Flame Collective on Patreon. Thank you, Sarah. I have no concept of time either. I really don't. But one of the things we do understand about the nature of kind of transitioning into what we call fourth density is that we're entering the stage of consciousness in which your perception of time changes. Well, that is to say, if we even agree that time actually exists. And, I think one of the things we find when we do leave the physical human body is that in my opinion, time definitely exists. In my opinion, it's a sentient force that permeates all of living, the essence of every living thing within the cosmos. But I think that it interacts very differently based on where you are, based on your consciousness level, based on the density of the physical or non-physical plane that you're living in. Time, for some of us, will seem to not exist when we go into a higher level of consciousness, but really it's because we're experiencing it and working with it and sort of interacting with it very, very differently. And so that might not make sense to some people, but I think time is sentient. I think it is a liquid, ever-flowing, sentient force. And so we're going to get Ileana's views on that in a little bit as well. But yeah, time's going by. It's getting crazy on the Earth plane. We're living in the time of manufactured wars, strange parasitic forces being placed upon us, all sorts of upheaval, the return of the fall of Atlantis, and along with all the madness, a lot of really incredible, amazing, beautiful, cool things. And so anyway, we're going to get into the show because I feel like the mega ranting, hyper verbal wave coming in. But so I would go back to probably about 2017. I think it was 2016, 2017. And for those of you guys that are watching, take your mind back to where you were in 2016 or 17 while I take a drink really quick. That's how you can tell when I'm going too fast. I instantly get sort of blocked up verbally. But anyway, take a breath. So take yourself back to 2016, 2017, right around that stage of my journey. I was coming to the organic understanding that my entire life was changing. I was stepping into an entirely new role. For many of us, we had a literal timeline, a physical timeline shift in 2017. And I think right around 2017, I started to become aware of a person that was writing about secret space program stuff online. It might have been 2018, could have been a little bit before that. As you know, my concept of time is horrible. But in what I call the sort of golden ages, or the early, more fascinating stages of becoming acclimated to the secret space program concept and the reality that it was out there, I started discovering people on Facebook, on their websites. It was almost like this sort of group of people sort of showed up, and it was like this new wave of knowledge and all these events and all these crazy things that I had known already to be true, and not because I had been a part of it, because I had been shown it and seen it through dreams, through all kinds of experiences through my life. And so when I began to become aware of the secret space program topic back in 2017 and 16, it was like I suddenly became aware of all these individuals that were telling these stories. And one of the things that I was discovering about myself at that time is that I would listen to people, and there would be this thing that would happen where sometimes I would hear a person's voice, and it wasn't like I knew them, but it was like whatever they were talking about would show up on my mind, on kind of like a screen in my mind. It was like I could see their experiences, I could feel their experiences. I did not really understand what that was. There was a long period in the early awakening stage for me where I literally thought I was going crazy. I would walk past people in a hallway, and I would receive what I believe were their memories, were things that they eat for lunch, were, things that had been trailing through their energy field. And when I started to watch people online and listen to these experiences, I learned really, really quickly that for some people, they would talk about something and it was like I could find it. It was like I could reach out. For me, it was a little bit to the left and up. I could reach out and I could grab onto what it was, and it was like I could watch it with them. And likewise, other people would talk about experiences and things, and it felt like they would be reading it from a sheet of paper, or it felt like they would be repeating a conversation that they heard. And granted, I was not at the stage, and I don't know if any of us are, where we can definitively say, well, this was true and that's fake and that person's real and that person's making it up. It's not like I'm trying to discern those things. But what I found around that time was that there was people that would come through and they would talk about stuff, and I could grab onto it. I could grab onto it in this way that told me through my experience and through my developing consciousness that it was real. Around that time, Ileana the Star Traveler, I think you were going by your regular name at that time. She was going by another tag name on Facebook. And I started following her writings and like kind of started checking out the stuff that she was putting in groups and stuff. And it was fascinating for me because I could grab onto it. And it was like I could experience it and feel it. Very much a similar experience I had with Tony Rodriguez. Very much like that, where it's like someone will talk and you can find the essence of their experience. And so I know other people experience that differently. Some people have their own versions of it. But Ileana was one of those people whose work that I have followed for years, honestly, reading her blog, not blog stuff, but the stuff that you would write on Facebook, on the videos that she was putting out on YouTube. And it was just a person that had been in the background, whose experiences and journey I had been charting the whole time. And we had a couple of intersections over the course. She was one of those people that I think helped me. This is going to sound so weird, and I'm going to go ahead and bring her in a moment to like comment on this. But she was one of those people that had put a comment somewhere. I had noticed something. I'll just say it. Get ready, guys. We're going to get super bizarre instantly. One of the ways I knew she was really viewing energy was, I remember we had a very brief conversation on Facebook one time where she described this being that we saw inside Barack Obama. It was like a weird goat-like demon entity. And at the time, I did not understand that that was what we call the Baphomet energy. And I remember having this weird random conversation with her, and just, one of those one comment exchanges. And I was like, holy shit, she saw it. What? It was one of those moments of absolute confirmation that another person had viewed a similar thing. And so we had all these weird little intersections over time that helped me acknowledge that this is a person that was having very real, very profound experiences. And so when I decided to do this weird show, one of the sort of aims of it was that I wanted to bring people in to talk about things that I had an affinity with, that I had kind of followed, that I had sort of invested my energy in. And so Ileana's work has definitely been one of those. And anyway, I could go on and on. It'll get more embarrassing and random, but but anyway, here we go. Hello. Hopefully you caught all that. But how's it going over there?
Pretty good. I was just kind of thinking, yeah, the first time we spoke to each other was on Facebook, and I knew that you were starting to do psychic readings and that you were, doing readings. And I said to you, have you noticed that there's something a little different about the president, the current president? We'll just call him Mr. B.
Totally.
And yeah, I did notice the ET energy in that he could morph, he could shapeshift and morph. So there's the morphing capabilities, there's the horns, there's the hooves, and four legs instead of like the horse or the minotaur. He morphs. He's not all hairy. This doesn't have any hair, but the bottom stuff does, and there's hair here. There's the big horns, the prominent beard thing, Baphomet. Yeah, I got the same vibe, but their species is not called Baphomet. They're not demonic.
Oh, it's good to know.
So they're very, they're not very neutral, though. They will play sides. They can play sides. And this is what I read. I didn't want to look into him too much because he had an awareness of me. He knew that I was watching him.
That'll happen. Totally.
Yeah, and he's 7 foot tall. So this, being that's 7 foot tall on 4 hooven legs and horns and muscle. So he can morph. So humans we think that we're all human, but some people are shapeshifters, and they exist on the fringes of reality. Absolutely. And they can even be presidents. For example, the last Mr. T, he's actually human. He's fully human.
I agree.
I looked into him too, and he's human. There's nothing ET-like about him. He's a fully human president. And Mr. J, the current, president, is a clone that malfunctions every couple of months or even weeks.
I think they're allowing him to malfunction as part of his narrative. They're forcing. They're like degrading something. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's an interesting eclectic mix of who these people are in government and what they're doing and why. And if you're aware that there's this whole paranormal, supernatural world beyond our regular normal 3D reality, there's shapeshifters, there's werewolves, there's vampires, there's very psychic beings, psychic people, there's fairies, there's mermaids, there's gnomes, sprites, there's witches, magic practitioners of all sorts, multidimensional beings, transdimensional beings, archangels, angels, demigods, goddesses, source creator, spirit. There's all kinds of creator beings out there, and magic is real. So
totally.
My mother raised me with the idea magic is real, and so are these beings. Put your little garlic sachet on all 4 corners with the salt and the garlic so that the vampires don't come for a visit at night. And I sort of smiled when I was like 15. I smiled to my mom and I said, vampires, garlic sachets with salt, they don't really protect against vampires.
I agree, by the way. I have met one. Literally, yeah. Anyway, go on.
So I told my mom, that's maybe good for keeping low-level spirits out, the garlic sachets with the salt, but it doesn't keep the vampires out. Short of a very heavy silver bullet that's laden with silver, nothing can keep them out. Holy water doesn't keep them out. They can walk in the day. They don't sleep in crypts and coffins. They're day walkers. They're
totally
night
living
walkers.
Alongside humans.
Exactly. Yeah. And not all of them depend on drinking blood. They actually, their food source is sunlight and plasma, not pure blood, not all of them. there's different sorts of vampires as well. They're
Yeah.
not all bloodletters, as as the mythology says. There's space vampires as well. In the secret space program, there's all kinds of hybrids being made in the
Yeah.
SSPs. So this is the chaotic world that you're talking about,
Oh,
the
totally.
interesting
Yeah.
woo-woo world beyond 3D. So
Totally.
this is something I have been familiar with since I was a young kid. My parents always said, trust your psychic ability, trust your intuition, and know that we're not alone. You're
I'm
not
glad that they
alone.
encouraged you. I did not get any encouragement, but then again, I don't think anyone really knew what was going on with me. I didn't even really until about my mid 30s, but that's really cool that you had encouragement in that area.
Well, I am from the old country that is currently being wiped out from the
I've
face of
heard,
the
yes.
earth. So, being from the old country, we do have the superstitions, and we are raised to know that magic is real, that these beings are real. My great great grandmother was a successful psychic in the village. She found people, she found missing animals, she saw the future, she did the tarot cards, she did the tea leaf readings, she did the dice divination things. And one day she just saw something that scared her really badly, and she stopped doing all of that. So my
Mm,
grandmother and mom always told me, be careful what you see in the future, because I could see the future sometimes,
yeah.
my own future and others. And I was always told being a psychic is not the greatest thing in the world, and it's not rewarding unless you know what you're doing and you're careful with it. Then it
Mm,
won't drive you mad and crazy. I didn't really understand that because I didn't really become a psychic until 2014, really, when
wow.
my awakening happened. And I started remembering the SSP stuff, that I had done weird things on Mars,
Yeah.
and things that normal humans don't really do, like working in the cybernetics labs, observing how the holographic medical pods work. I never got to use one. I got to go the biological drug serums route to
Mm,
learn how biology works and how to do serums that rejuvenate the body and keep you younger. That's what I was into, and that's sort of what was encouraged for me to do onto myself and stay young. Even though I was 60, I was like in my 30s. I didn't look 60. That's the 60 and back, because people think 60 years old, you're old and wizened, you've done in 60 and back. No, because there's ways of
necessarily.
keeping us young. For me, it was the drug serums, biological drug serums. It wasn't the holographic medical pods.
Yeah.
And the word medbed is an incorrect term for that terminology.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Huh.
People use it, and I say it's holographic medical pods, because they have the holographic technology and they have the medical pods that's run on plasma and crystalline energies.
Yeah. I,
That's
I have a question about that, which this is my first here we go, trying to speak interruptive sort of like question here. And um, I'll just say it. I have been well known to be very skeptical and very harsh against the idea that us on the Earth plane are about to be issued a bunch of, we'll still call them med beds, even though I definitely agree with the holographic healing technology, because I've seen it. I know it's real. It's a real thing. It's very present in the fourth density space. You can look at it and view them. But there's all kinds of stuff present in fourth density that's not necessarily meant to be here on Earth. One of those things I think right now is the concept of the med beds. Now, because you had worked with those in your previous experiences and other, what we could call life cycles or versions of you, what's your outlook? Do you think that Simon Parks is about to drop a bunch of med beds on like planet Earth along with all his homies? Like what do you think is going to happen?
honestly, med beds are not coming for another 300 years. That's the psychic, that's the Planetary Corporations rollout plan in 300 years. In 100 years, we might get regenerative medicine, like biological drug serums that they inject into us, and it reverses the aging process on the telomeres, and it fixes your DNA to a certain extent, and it reduces diseases to a certain extent. So it'll give you some youthfulness, some energy back, some vitality, might shave off 20 years off your life. So biological drug serums.
So you think it's about 100 years in the future?
Well, 50, 100 years from now,
Yeah.
because look at what's happening on this planet right now. It's chaotic.
Yeah.
Every system is in chaos that's known in existence. All systems are in chaos.
I think it's supposed to be. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's all on purpose to change things, but it's too slow. It's not fast enough. And
Yeah.
honestly, what people say about that place in the old country, I don't believe the rumors. I believe something else.
What do you think it is? Go ahead. You can talk about it either directly or sideways for the sake of the AI, however you want.
I do it sideways. I think some people are being mind controlled by off-world entities. Yeah. That's why this crazy stuff is happening, because they want to burn down places on the planet. So it's not what you think it is, because there's rumors that they found certain things over there in that country, certain types of weird things. That's not it. They just want to burn it down.
Like the portals or like the Ark or whatever that's supposedly in that country. To me, like when I viewed it, and for everyone out there that's watching, we're going to be skipping back and forth through all kinds of wild stuff. Yes, we'll definitely get to your questions. Thank you for those, by the way. But and I'll just instantly divert from what we were saying. I have directly in my very dedicatedly recently, since everyone's been talking about this, I feel like I found but the Ark ship that they're saying is in Ukraine. To me, it's in water. Every single time I look at it, it's in water, and it's not even in there. It's south of there, and it's within that is that the Baltic Sea or whatever that is?
Spot on. It's not in Ukraine itself. It's not in the country. It's outside of the country. That's what I got too. And there's no labs or underground things in that country either. You see, certain leaders are being mind controlled right now. Yeah. By entities, by off-world entities, causing chaos in their brains. Yeah. Certain leader, Mr. P, we'll just call him Mr. P. That's what's happening to Mr. P. Yeah. There's chaotic. He's sitting in a shadow prison, in a jail. He's in jail. That's what I've been remote viewing this, and he's in a shadow prison. He doesn't have control over his body. There's a lot of voices chattering in his brain.
Is that why he's like 20 feet away from like everyone all the time on like the other end of the table, like a mile away? Is that why?
Well, he doesn't have control over his body. It's not his personality that's pulling the puppet strings. Wow. So he's isolated because there's paranoia in his brain. All these entities don't want to be noticed by people. So I think the reason why he's kind of on the side is so people don't really see that something's not normal with him. Something's very different. Yeah. This is why this behavior is happening, to burn down cities and helpless countries. It's not for the reason that the rumors say it was for. It's totally different.
Interesting.
And I briefly, like I took 10 minutes to see what was in the mind of Mr. P, and I took about 20 minutes to look at the Ark ship. And you're right, it's in water. It's not on land. Geography, because when you do remote viewing, you have your gestalts, right? You have land, you have water, you have man-made, you have natural, and you have energetics and frequency. So honestly, and those are called idioms. Gestalts are idioms. Right. This is how people start to learn remote viewing from your basics. And I picked up a lot of energetics, and I picked up water, wet, deep, underwater, not on land. So anybody who says it's in the sand, it's not in the sand. It's in water. You're right. Yeah. And people are like, no. It is where it's on land. I'm like, no, it's not. And people can talk back and forth, whatever. I see what I see. I cannot change what I see.
Totally. I want to test another theory with you. One of the other things I noticed, and I guess for everyone that's coming in the room, we're instantly talking about the many existing, what some people are calling Ark ships, that a lot of people in disclosure are talking about right now. Pretty much everyone that's kind of tuned in with the collective consciousness is going to start noticing that there's an enhanced level of signal transmission happening, and it's kicking up because there's certain structures, pieces of technology. We could call them, in some cases, I think, like pocket dimensions encased in physical structures that are activating on a different level. And so it's one of the things that people are really, it's for those of you guys that are starting to use your psychic abilities and starting to like venture into the astral realms, it's something that everybody can grab onto right now. But that said, one of the things that I observed, or rather what was shown to me about, in particular, I think two places that were easy for me to see. One of those was the so-called Ukrainian Ark, which we agree is in the Baltic Sea. The other one, well, actually there's three. The other one was off the coast of Alaska, like in between Russia and Alaska, kind of halfway down, and it's sort of like a pill shape. It was like a pill shaped thing. And then the other one feels like it's off the coast of California, but that one felt like it was incredibly deep under the ocean. And it was, for some reason, that one was easier for me to see, which this is where I want to get your opinion. It was under the surface of the ocean inside another pocket of water that was underneath the Pacific Ocean. But that said, one of the things that I have observed is that there was no physical entrance or exit. In fact, it cannot be physically entranced or exited from. It's through a fourth density wall that only can be passed through in a frequency state, kind of like how they go through mountains. But what do you think about that? What are your feelings on that?
Oh, that one off the coast of California, it's emitting an energy frequency field that's layered, and it feels like another layer of water, but it's higher frequency dimension. I've looked at it. That's the one, and I was going to draw it. I was going to draw a circular long craft emitting frequency waves, and there's like a bubble, layers of bubbles around it. That's the energy field. Yeah. It doesn't have a physical entrance. You can only enter it if you're DNA coded frequency from 4D. Totally. So, and it's like, how am I going to draw this? This is hard to draw even it's like you feel it, you sense it, you can say that, you can describe the gestalts better than drawing it. Like I could do remote viewing on it, but description is much better what we're doing right now. Because with remote viewing, the way this is done, and I want to talk about remote viewing a little bit. You have ink pen, black ink pen, and paper, and whatever you're picking up from your target. Now, a lot of people say these targets have to be blind and you can't set up your own targets. I don't really agree with that. I think if you know an object or you feel an object somewhere and you want to see what's more to it, you can tap into it and you might know that it's an Ark ship, or you might guess. That's okay, because as psychics, we're also remote viewers. Mm-hmm. And if you know a bit about something, that's okay, as long as you're not backloaded and backended with all the information about the thing. You're okay. You see something, you see a target, take the pen, take the paper, start drawing whatever you're seeing and writing the descriptions about it. Just whatever comes in, you write it. Don't think about it. Don't assume what it is. Whatever is there, that's what you put down. Pen and paper. Yeah. The written and the written description and the drawing. That's basic remote viewing.
Yeah. Interesting. So I like that you call it the gestalts, which here's the thing. I never had any formal training in remote viewing. Strangely enough, when I realized that I was able to kind of do that, I remember somebody sent me a PDF of literally it was like a government remote viewing manual. It might, I don't know, CIA, FBI, literally from them, that was going around, which I had read. It was an interesting thing, but kind of like you, I begin to grab onto what I call the elements. And so it's interesting that you have, other things that you grab onto. But for me, I would look at what's the fire of it, what's the air, earth, fire, water. I would grab onto the elements and try to describe the element. And so that's interesting that people kind of like create their own method or their own terminology around the facets of whatever it is that we are tuning into. And so with that, though, I have a question, because as everyone that's watching this, or most of us that's watching, and you also know, one of the focuses of our work that we're doing with this channel and the stuff that I've been up to is teaching people that they're capable of doing this, that they have an ability. Most of us have many of them that are going to show up at many different stages of the journey. As a person who does remote viewing work or psychic work or healing work as a professional in whatever capacity you do, what do you think are the most common psychic skills that show up for people? Is it like a remote viewing thing? Is it claircognizance? What do you think?
Claircognizance, clairvoyance, hearing, sensing, feeling. Those are, and you can remove the descriptions of the clairs. You start with the 5 senses and beyond. Of course, clairvoyance and claircognizance are the first ones. They're the most popular ones. If people can hear it, can sense it, and can see it, something is there. Something is there in the reality, whether 3D or higher. I also trust my intuition. I go by what I sense in my gut. And usually what comes in the gut is the right thing, that's about people, about things. And I do a lot of shows and I invite a lot of people to interview, and I always scan them before I let them in on my shows, because I believe that positive vibration is important and positivity is important. If I sense deceit, disinformation, or dishonesty, or somebody's mind controlled by somebody else, I honestly, they don't get far with me.
Yeah.
I understand that they might not know what's happening to them. They might not be aware. But some people, even when you try to help them with that, to let them know, they get offended, they get offensive, they get mad. No, I'm not being attacked by entities. I'm not mind controlled. But they are, and they refuse to even acknowledge what's happening or to get help. I could sense the energy. And people often ask me, well, how do you know that you're not mind controlled and that you're not being taken over by something?
That's a good question, right? That's a very good question.
And I do self-energy checks every day to check in with myself, and I could feel if something is attacking me or trying to take me over. I could feel the wrongness, the negativity, the malevolence, the evil, the bad. I could feel that energy. And I'm like, okay, protection, energy, rebalance your energetic shield, regenerate everything, balance, regroup, balance the energy, check within the body where in the energy soul frequency, check where the weaknesses are energetically. And build those up energetically, like heal that, fix the frequencies so you don't have back doors where something energetically can come into you. And I don't do channeling every day. I don't do deep trance channeling. So honestly, I don't want entities coming in and out as a revolving door.
I agree. I totally agree. Actually, here I have a question about that. And maybe there's no real answer for this because everyone's going to discover their sort of own method of doing this. But for those that are watching out there that are going, man, yeah, you should be scanning people. We should be, checking people's energy out. What would they look for in someone that's just starting this practice? And they're like, okay, man, I hear these people talking about scanning other people's energy and knowing if it's, good to, like connect with them. How would a person that's starting out start scanning people?
You just feel the frequency and the intent of the person, what their aura feels like and looks like to you psychically. Most people who are positive and are not influenced by anything negative, don't have entities, don't have bad things, their aura is green, blue, white, healthy. And you don't feel dissonance and distortion from their energy field. You don't feel like somebody is messing with them. You just feel clean energy. You feel healthy person, you feel a trustful person, you feel an honest person who doesn't have an agenda and nothing to gain from you. So honestly, and I always sense things. They go, the perceptions that I'm getting from people, I scan people's minds. I can walk in people's minds and read what's there. Totally. Like I see the soul. I see everything that this person ever was, is, or will be. And I see what's important in the here and the now. Yeah. Their intentions, their thoughts, what they're doing, how they're living their life, why they're here on this planet, what's their soul mission. I can sense all of that and see all of that because I see things beyond the 3D now. I see 4D and higher, not just with my eyes, but with my soul senses. And this is how you can perceive what's happening inside the person when you scan them. And people say you always need permission to scan somebody. If you're just doing an outer scan, right, just the periphery of their energy field, you're not diving in for deep secrets. You're not deep diving for anything. You're just going in to see what this person is. And what they're like. You're not going within the soul itself completely to look at everything happening to them. You're only on the peripherals. And that's what I do because I know I can't, as a psychic, as a remote viewer, as a channeler, I cannot just go rifling through a person's brain, head, and mind to deep dive for anything. I don't do that. I only check the peripherals of the energy field.
It's certainly a thing you could do, but you choose not to. Right?
Well, I'm very good at it, and I can certainly do it. And
I can tell. I could feel you popping in before you're popping into the thing. It's like a force that kind of comes with you. And I'm just going to comment on my sort of view on that as well, because when I started doing this, there was really no sort of code of ethics around like, how do you connect with the person? What's okay to do? What's okay, not to do, or, all this sort of do's and don'ts about diving into energy. And I remember what I was told by a person who really greatly assisted me was that the energy that's attached to people, the energy that we share, the energy that's sort of coexisting in and amongst us is sort of free reign for every, whether physical or non-physical being. Those are things kind of like you're saying, the auric field, or, just the energy that we carry with us, that energy bubble, that's a free reign zone for all of the beings that are able to perceive things in fourth and third density. Now, when we start working with, manipulating people's energy, pressing on certain pressure points in the energy body, working with meridians specifically, because you can literally aim energy at like a meridian spot on people. And even if they're not aware of it, you can create a reaction in them. And you learn that the hard way and the positive way. But to me, that would be like the violation of like ethical code when it comes to psychic work. But everything that's shared, and they talk about this, in a number of places, in fourth density, all is known, nothing is hidden. And so, anyway, not to go on and on that, but I definitely agree with your, like, the code of ethics of when and how to connect. And honestly, I think everybody should be sort of scanning and reading the energy when you encounter a person, because one of the things I've noticed within our sort of strange little multidimensional soul group, which I'm going to ask you about after this, is that there's so much of an act or a face or a projection that's placed over certain people that are operating in, whether it's disclosure or spiritual work, that unless you're developing your real strands of discernment, we could say, you're going to get blown over time and time again. A really shiny, beautiful thing, like the Federation of Light is going to roll in and you're going to go, oh, it's totally true. And so I don't know, as far as I can tell, we need to scan everybody. But yes, go ahead. Your comments on that?
Yeah, I scan everybody and I see beyond the shiny. I see beyond the surface of what you project, because we all wear masks and we all hide things and we all want something. That's the human nature of being humans. We're not perfect. Some of us are flawed. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I see the good and the bad and the evil and everything in between people's souls. I don't judge. I hold neutral, safe space for everyone. I don't care if I see nasty things. I don't judge why something is nasty in someone or something, because there's always a reason for why that happened to the soul field. And it could be temporary or it could be permanent or semi-permanent. There's always a reason for the why of how somebody is or something is. And I don't judge that. I often do a lot of multidimensional healings to clear those things out of people's soul, because they hold on to it like a basket of eggs. They don't let go of it easily. They don't understand that it's happening on a subconscious level. They don't need to carry that with them. It's okay to let it go eventually, because it only rots the soul frequency, and it can. That's the entities. It's not just energetic entities. There's also entities that we ourselves create. It's implants. There's a lot of different things involved in that.
Yeah.
And
Here, go ahead, finish that thought, and then I'll ask you.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So
I just wanted to find where it was.
Yeah, there's Galactic Federation of Worlds, there's Galactic Federation of Light. Those are all words, and I've remote viewed the Galactic Federation of Worlds. There are a bunch of species that are in 3D, 4D, and higher that have allies who want to get rid of the Orion Collective and the Reptilian Syndicates, because they're the dark abyss and a threat to all known humans in this known universe. So they're just a bunch of people who have come together in somewhat of a mutual agreement to take out the bad guys, but the bad guys are bigger than them, and they're amassing their ships and armadas, and they're doing all this energetic work. They're making projects, they're preparing, they're doing all of this behind the scenes. But they don't really want us to know what they're doing because it's secret and classified. They're military. Galactic Federation of Worlds is military. They're armed to the teeth. That's what I saw in the remote viewing. They have fleets of ships, different ships from different planets, galaxies. These beings have gathered together because they don't want us destroyed, and themselves, of course. But they're doing it in secret. They're not making contact with humans, most humans. With some they are, and some claim they're emissaries or representatives, and I don't like those words. What does it mean to be an emissary? What does it mean to be a representative? These councils and federations, if they make contact with you, they're just providing you info. They're not making you a representative or an emissary. You're no more special than you and I.
I agree.
You're still a being having a human experience or otherworldly experience. So don't put these federations, councils on a pedestal. They're no better or less than us.
I agree. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to ask you about that again in a moment, but I wanted to get to one of these questions because it was kind of along the lines of what you were saying a few minutes ago. Could you ask Ileana how often she encounters energy beings? Does she encounter physical ETs more or energy beings more? What do you think? What's your waves of contact like these days?
My contact is very psychic, so it's based on energy flow. I personally am very careful about meeting ETs physically because I don't want to be taken off world somewhere by a portal system, by a device or anything. I limit that because before I was too trusting of it. That's how I got into the whole SSP and a portal activating accidentally, a portal, not so accidentally, with magic for 15 years in my closet, and things coming in and going that were somewhat positive and somewhat negative sometimes, and just having otherworldly encounters and going off planet in that portal system. And it felt like swooshing water, and it was blue because I can sense energetics. Now I don't open portals. I concentrate on energetically protecting my home from that stuff coming in. I know how to open and close portals because I'm a magic practitioner. I've studied all kinds of esoteric symbology, everything to do with energy, physicality I've studied. But I don't want to physically encounter too many ETs. It's safer on the energy scale because you can block them easier if it's not something you want to encounter anymore. When they're physically with you, not so much, not so easy to just say, bye, I'm going home. On the energetic scale, it's much more easier to close off the connection if you don't feel something is right or you've had enough.
Yeah. How did you... Here, go ahead, and then I'll ask.
Yeah, I work with Arcturians for healings for myself and with other clients. I do healings with Arcturians, the Lyrans, the Andromedans, only positive collectives. And I always scan them to make sure it's the right ones coming in for the healing before I even start the session with the person. I work with them purely energy. It's all energetics. They don't use any technological devices. It's all pure energy.
Yeah. Okay, here comes an immediate follow-up question. We're just gonna keep rolling. How did you close the portal in your closet? And why do they always show up in places like closets or in strange areas in our house? And I say that seriously and also kind of humorously, because I've also had a lot of portal experiences. There was a stage where for like a few days I literally woke up coming through a portal. That was how I woke up. The portal was on the ceiling of the house I lived in at the time. And so I absolutely 100% know that they are real. And almost it was very blue and green and shimmering like a pool of water that I went through. There was like a weird zing and like a little, it was like I could feel my body go like through it in a strange way. But how did you close it?
The same way that I opened it, with magic and symbols, like dragon symbols and triangular symbols. The same way I created it, I had to backtrack to figure out what I had done to open this thing in the first place. Because with magic, whatever you create, a spell, an energy exchange, whatever you create, if you want to unravel it and undo it, you have to go back and look how you did it in the first place to reverse it, to undo it. That's what I had to do. I had to use the same symbols that I was using to create this portal to close it. And I did it before I sold my house. So the next person
nice.
who moved in didn't get what I was getting from it. And honestly, that thing had been there for 15 years. And half of the time I didn't even know what I had created, because I was fresh to magic and I was like, yes, we'll start with portals. What I remember,
We'll just start with a portal.
well, this is for a reason, because in the secret space program, I was trained how to use my psychic abilities to naturally sense where the portals are, open the door to the portal, the frequency, go through, hold the stable portal energy, go in and out from point A to point B and hold that energy, then close the portal. When you're in 3D, it's hard to figure out. I've done it. Sometimes I've ended up in cities 7 hours away from me where I've just been dumped in an accidental portal that I've psychically created when I'm sleeping. I've had that happen. I've been dumped and like, oh my God, I can't go home. I don't know what I did. How did I open it? I just, opened it and bilocated physically and ended up in a house 7 hours away from me.
Yeah.
That I ended up buying and selling because I wasn't happy with it.
Oh,
but
wow, okay.
Destiny. Sometimes it's meant to happen to teach you something. But the reason I did it through magic to open a portal, because I could naturally do it with my abilities in the SSP.
Yeah,
And
there's something that came naturally.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when they mind wipe your memories, they don't leave the manual instruction for how they taught you to do it in the first place. So you have to kind of go back and relearn everything. I'm like, magic is energy. Energy is magic. Perfect. I can make a portal that way with the symbols and the sigils. So I did it, and I had a red triangle in the middle, surrounded by dragon sigils. And that's what opened the portal and made the portal. And that
Oddly enough, it's viewable. It's like as soon as you said like the triangle, it was like a red triangle showed up over here, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, just my weirdness. Yeah,
it's hanging on my wall, but it's deactivated. It's in my meditation room.
Yeah,
I don't discard anything that I've ever created, because if you deactivate it, it's still a beautiful symbol of what you learned to do. So it's not an active portal anymore, because that's just tools, the symbols, the sigils, the geometry, the sacred geometry behind that. Yeah, red triangle. People are like getting, red triangle. That's no. But energy's frequency in red is an activator frequency to create things, to open things, to activate. So if you know how to use it correctly, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. The color red in the triangle.
Yeah. Okay, pause for a quick moment, because you're offering a layer of confirmation to an experience that I had when I first started doing this work. I worked at a shop in Los Angeles, and randomly some guy, it was like a literally an animator from Pixar, came in, and he was all, there's all this crazy stuff going on in my house. I'll pay you whatever you want to come over. Literally, I'll pay you whatever you want to come over there and fix this thing. And the truth is, the owner of the store took nearly all the money, but me and this guy went over to this guy's house, and he explained that he thought there was a portal in the fireplace, and I could tell there was energy coming out of it, but I didn't know really what it was at the time. And I was like, I don't know how to close a portal. And so lo and behold, what did I do? I was guided to get nails and red thread, and I surrounded the fireplace, and I also gridded off the entire house, the front and back of the yard. I put stakes in the ground and ran thread all the way around the perimeter of the house and around the wall of the fireplace. And we even put like an offering out there. I put like just some stuff in an offering box, you know, for whatever the energy was. And it was one of those things that I had did completely out of intuition alone, because I was like, well, how would I close a portal? I've never done that, but I'll give it a try. You know, it was at the stage of the journey where you're like, I'll do it. Yeah. You know, I don't even know what I'm doing, but yeah, you know, it's that sort of thing. But yeah, literally gridded it off with red thread and nails on the wall. And sure enough, after that, we never heard from the guy. But before I left that store, he showed up to one of the ET contact meditation groups I did. And he was like, you know, I don't know what you did, but it was gone. And so it was one of those things where without knowing what I was doing, we actually closed it. And so it's cool that you used a red triangle. I used a red thread. There's a synchronicity there.
Well, I've been taught in magic that symbols and sigils have particular energetic frequencies and meanings, and it's connected with color. It's color coded to a certain extent. Red is not a bad thing.
I agree.
So often people say the color red, if you wear it, it signifies certain something that you're part of. Not necessarily. People can just like the color red and be wearing red. You know, I don't wear red shoes because I don't want to be gang stalked. I don't want to attract attention to myself. Wearing red shoes does signify something, but people can just have bad fashion sense and no common sense at all. Because red does attract. If you have a red car, you'll get ladybugs on it. Yellow, red, blue. The ladybugs will just swarm your car. I've had a red car, a van before. Burgundy. It was not a fire engine red. It was burgundy, but I had all the bugs on it because they're attracted to active, warm colors. Yeah. Orange, yellow, red, blue. Those are all warm colors that attract living beings to them because it signifies a call to action to do something. Yeah. To get on with it energetically. That's why I chose a red triangle, because it's also protective energy. Red is fire. Red is an activator. There's herbs that are red. So, because I'm also into herbology and all that jazz. So I study color meanings. I study the wheel of the color and how it's all connected magically and energetically. That's why to me, red was an activator. Red was an opening of something and a closing of something. That's why I did a triangle, because you can open it and close it, and you have all the points of the vortices and energies, and you can play around with it. It's malleable. Yeah. It's all energetic, the activating and the closing of it. So, and oftentimes you see portals as triangles, as squares, or as circles, whether man-made or energetic. That's how they appear.
I have a question about that. Maybe there's no answer for it, but how would those portals that we create differ from the natural portal system that's constantly opening and closing within our physical realm? And then also, let's go one step even farther. And also what, you know, those massive multidimensional portal structures that are within the solar system, within the galaxy, are those all one and the same? Are they different types of openings? I know that's a bizarre question, but what do you think?
Well, the portals that I worked with, like I created their energy base, their natural frequencies that I take from the ether, from the universe, and I just mesh it into my own energy frequency, and I play with the energy because I know the energy, and I can balance it. I can mold it into whatever I want. And a portal system is still natural energy that I take from the universe. So when we're creating portals, I think we're doing it with energy and natural ability. It's energy and ability, and it sort of vibrates everything together. We put a little bit of this and a little bit of that into it, and that's how we create portals. And natural portals come from the universe. There's nobody tethering them. There's nobody holding them. They can be from black holes, white holes. They can be from vortexes. They can be from black matter as well, dark matter, particles holding them. There's different types. Not all portals are the same in what creates it and what makes it naturally. Man-made portals, I can sense their frequencies. Something is usually a little bit off from that
There's like a
electrical
charge or like an
charge.
emotion, or there's a feeling in the space, or there's an event, or people do certain things, right?
Yeah, and if it's created technologically, there's an amplification frequency
Hmm.
charge that has a vibration that I know was not made by a natural portal system. The cosmic web is a portal system. It
Okay.
takes you from point A, B, C, everywhere. The universe is made from the cosmic web and traversing it for the craft and for soul beings. It's a huge portal system. But I could feel ships trying to create portals in it that are not natural. It's from the hyperdrive engines or it's from something else, because some people have time travel dilation devices on their crafts. The SSP has it, the ETs have it. They all use it to a certain extent, and I could feel that time dilation frequency, and it makes me sick sometimes.
Hmm.
It drains me, it makes me tired. That's how I knew I was ported off planet, whether it was
Yeah,
my soul taken out of my body or my physical body and my soul at the same time. And it's possible to beam you off and nobody will know about it
totally.
because it's trans-dimensional time dilation technology. Your parents won't know you were gone for 2 months. You were sleeping. The body looks like this, it's sleeping, but the soul has checked out and it's somewhere else in another body, avatar body, or a clone or a cyborg or something else, or just pure energy. They could take your soul out and put it in another body or put it in a vessel. So there's vessel containers, electromagnetic frequency fields that hold the soul that is transferred to somebody else or
Hmm.
into something else. This is what they were doing on Planetary Corp on the Mars basis in the cybernetics labs. I can soul travel naturally out of my body and just go and do it. That's
Yeah.
called astral travel, astral
Hmm.
projection by location. Just go in my light body and I pop out and I just leave my body safely relaxing in my home. And I always leave it in my home. I don't do this outside on a bench. I do it in my house in my own privacy because I don't want anybody just seeing me like this on a bench in the park.
Totally. I spent a lot of time last year. I think that was last year, like months of last year, specifically training with someone. She's awesome, by the way. Her name is Henda. She's out there on learning how to more accurately and just way more efficiently leave the human body. And I absolutely guarantee, for those of you guys who have not experienced it, it is a literal fundamental ability that every human being has. For some of us, you really got to practice in letting go of control factors so you can jump out. But as a result of a lot of those experiences, I have found that it's a lot easier for me to open what I call like a viewing channel rather than jump out. It's like I can grab onto something and sort of I kind of, maybe it's like a filament of what we would call the cosmic web, but it's like I can very easily like grab onto something and sort of view it through a line or a timeline or a tube, but it's a lot harder for me to actually go there. And yet I find that sometimes I'll just kind of go there in a way that I'm not expecting. But anyway, that said, where did you study shamanism? We got a question here.
I studied it with a Métis shaman. His name was Leonard Howell. He sadly passed away several years ago. I prefer to do my studies when I'm looking for a shamanic teacher. I look for a good vibration, and I
Yeah.
always ask, "What do you teach, and how do you teach it?" before I start any courses with them, whether it's magic, shamanism, healing. He came to my house from another city. He drove out to my house, and he
Nice.
taught me for 2 hours every week.
Wow.
And he got lost along the way to my house. I came out at 8 p.m. It was dark. Never met him before, but I could feel his healing goodness, just his sincere intent. He's like, "I'm lost. Me and my wife are lost. We don't know where we are." I'm like, "You're 5 minutes out to my house. I'll come and get you." I came and get them, opened their car door. They were parked. They were just sitting there on the sidewalk, 5 minutes out from my house, but they couldn't find it. It was hard to
Yeah.
find my house. It's literally a vortex to get there. I live in a very secluded
makes sense.
space.
It feels
Not
like
easy to find me. I came out to them. I met them. I shook their hands. I hugged Leonard. And we went to my house to start the work. And he had 7 levels of shamanism by the time that he was fully teaching the courses. I took 3 levels of shamanism. My primary expectations were to do soul retrieval and past life regression and hypnosis, to create a hybrid hypnosis technique off of the past life regression stuff. And this is what I learned. Those were my key aspects, but he taught me everything with shamanism: how to talk to the beings, how to do the drumming ceremonies, the drum journey, incredible. How to find your totem animals, the meanings, crystals, herbology, energy. And I was studying magic at the same time, like white magic, Wicca. I'm second degree in that and third degree in shamanism. Nice. So I was studying both simultaneously. It wasn't easy because I was doing full-time work plus this learning.
Yeah.
But magic and shamanism is interconnected. It's interwoven because it's all energy. You're just learning how to work with energy and respect for nature. And we did telekinesis. We did the fire stuff. Start the fire. Move the water molecules so the water rises. Start the fire. The candle gazing.
Totally.
The spoon bending with your mind. It's not as easy as you think it is, but I did it. I had a headache afterwards.
I think I can do it. I've never tried, and I'm a little bit afraid to, because I'm like one of those people where it's like I'll fail, and then I'm like, oh, forget it, you know. But I could just feel it. I could feel it in a weird way. Yeah.
Yeah, I was able to do it, but it took a lot of energy out of me, honestly. And I got a headache in my third eye. And it's like, I've never done it again. I did it once, and I have that thing proudly glued to a metallic mount, because it kept falling off and getting lost. So I glued it. What I bent like this, I just glued it with Gorilla Glue. I have a picture of it to this day, and the item itself, of course. But I've never done this spoon bending, the metal bending again, because that's not an ability I often use, and I don't think I need it. I just use the third eye and the soul frequency. My ability is not really sitting in my third eye.
Yeah.
My ability is in the soul. People think your psychic ability is in the third eye and the crown chakra. No, those are just tools to amplify your ability, but your ability is in the soul frequency.
Totally. I often see the network of chakras, especially the upper chakras around the head, as part of what I call fourth density or non-physical infrastructure. They're viewing apparatuses, they're like connective transmission points. There are also energy centers that move energy in and out of our conscious and unconscious being, but the real connection and the activity that we do, I think for a lot of us, is kind of like you're saying, within the soul realm or in the non-local field. Other people call it the astral, whatever term you want to grab onto. But I definitely agree. And anyway, yeah, we're going to check some of the comments here really quick, and then I'm going to ask you a very specific question. Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for actually. Here's a good one. Thank you, Pondering Soul. Does Ileana or Matthew ever aware of different aspects of ourselves in different bodies, all at present time now, as human or the as I'm trying to read it? You can read it yourself, but I will answer that real quickly, and then we'll get your comment on it. I absolutely, one of the fundamental pieces of my journey in the early awakening days was that I became aware of what I call a future self, very aware of it. And it's so much so that the more I connected with it, the more my life changed. And so absolutely, we are, in my opinion, the work that I do on a daily basis, for better or worse, every day, is oftentimes working with those versions of myself in the, what we want to call the astral space. But yeah, what's your view on that?
Well, I'm constantly aware of my higher selves, Janaea and Miara, 6th to 8th dimensional. They are Pleiadian and Andromedan. And I know they're higher aspects of me on higher levels than where I am. And they constantly psychically talk to me. They give me advice. They give me hints. They show me things holographically. And I know them by their energy frequency, by their goodness, by the positive energy. And their energy is similar to mine. I'm also aware of my past lives quite a bit. And sometimes I talk to my past life selves. And I'm very much aware of what I did in the SSP, whether that's parallel realities, current realities, or something in between, alternative realities. It can very much be here in the now, here now, and where we are in this locality, or it could be in a future timeline. The possibilities are endless because time travel is real and it exists and it works.
Totally.
I've been a part of that. That's why I call it the quantum leap. Time Dilation project, secret space program. And remember, we had a look, you and I, at those remote viewing coordinates of those SSP bases on Mars. And what did you sense from that?
I don't remember very much of it now. I have a really very strange sort of, there's a version of me that will come in and do something and then it will go. But I do remember viewing a bunch of stuff that you were doing in a certain, I think the part that I recall, I think I was viewing an aspect of you within some space and some of the stuff that you're doing. But as I'm describing it, I'm diverting in a weird way. Tell us, do you recall what that was?
Yeah, but what was I doing? What do you remember me doing?
Honestly, at this stage, it felt like you were injecting yourself with things. You were moving through a number of versions of technology, sort of testing things, kind of interacting with a number of beings. It looks like you were putting DNA into your body at one point. You were like splicing things. There could probably be more, but
Yeah.
I would need I would need some time to sit there with it, but yeah.
Yeah, that's one version of me and what I did in the SSP. I think that was in 2060. I don't think it was to me, it would have been 2000s, 2011. I mean, 16 back, people was like, how can that be 11 years? Human time, the span of time does not matter because time is not fluidic. Time is not still. Time moves and flows and ebbs. And you can turn time. You can manipulate time. You can do anything with time because it's so malleable. Energy, frequency, time dilation, that all exists. And you saw a version of me somewhere in 2060s. On Mars. And remember, you said, I don't physically see the structure that you're pointing to in these coordinates. I don't see it in this time locality. There's something there. There's like a shield over these coordinates points. You said that there's some kind of a shielding over the coordinates.
Nice.
There's something there. But
you should do that again sometime. That was actually that was a fun experience.
Sorry, I have a photographic memory, so I remember everything you tell me forever on end.
That's actually really cool. I'm the literal opposite of that. Everything I do is a stream of consciousness experience, and a lot of it will just literally pass, and then people come back to me and they're like, I remember you told me in this session, and I'm like, yeah. I'm sure I did. I've never even watched a full video of a session that I've done. It's like once the energy goes, I'm like, okay, and I'll just go on to the next stage, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, to be honest with you. I really don't know. But the more I have embraced the impermanence of the sort of, experiences and the stuff that comes through, the more it seems to lead to others. So who knows? Yeah, I have horrible information retention in those areas.
Well, I remember everything, but I put certain things away, so I don't often remember it because you have to archive your memory and put it in compartments in the brain so it doesn't circle back and kind of float all over the place. Because when you have too many memories, it can drive you bonkers with a photographic memory. So I manage it and I do archive it and put it away. But what I remembered was you telling me, I don't think these are physical places that are like physically there right now in this timeline. It comes from somewhere else, from a different timeline reality. This is what you said to me. And I'm like, no, it's physically there. It's there right now. I insist. And you said it's cloaked. Those particular coordinates, what I gave you and what you were looking at, you said they're cloaked. There's something there but
Oh
it
yeah,
has
you
a,
sent me a list. I remember that.
yes,
There was a number of things that I would sort of look at it, and it was like the numbers would go gray, or something would change, or the word would it would change into a different thing. And so to me, that would signal that there's a veil of energy that's over it. And
yeah.
now who knows? But anyway, so go on about that. Was
Yeah,
there
yeah.
anything more?
I kept insisting that these places are physically there right now, but you were saying I think it's in another timeline and there's time travel dimensional things involved in that. So it's not as black and white as you say it is, that place just right now being physically there. It might be there in a different reality or a different
Yeah.
timeline, even this timeline, but a different frequency of energy that it's cloaked and hidden. You can't physically see it. It might be there, but it's cloaked. So not everybody can just tap in and
Yeah.
remove the cloak and unveil what's there. So I remember what's there because I have a photographic memory. No matter how many times they tried to erase everything from me, it just
Yeah.
keeps coming back. Nothing works. Not the biological drug serums, not the regeneration tanks, and maybe not even the holographic medical pod. It's not permanent. My memory always comes back and rewrites itself,
Nice.
literally showing me what happened. I'm like, okay, this is a movie and I'm part of the movie, and I need to accept what happened, make peace with it, and let it go. Release.
I wish
Release
I
it.
had that. I wish I could go back and remember. There was times back in those days in like 2016 and 17 where there was nights where I would wake up standing out in my backyard, and there was a light that had like popped above me, like literally going upward, and I just don't know what it was. It was so well eclipsed from me that it was like I knew I had went somewhere. I literally, because I was standing awoken outside at night in the backyard looking up at a weird floating thing that literally popped and disappeared, and I would be like, what was it? I don't know. And I still don't know. So I think for me the mind wipe was very effective.
Golden being named Irradion. That's what's coming in from that
Oh,
particular, the
nice.
light. What does that mean to you? Who is Irradion and what's that golden light that he was in?
Oh, it feels like an experience that was scheduled. It was at a stage of my life where everything was popping open. Everything was like ripped open, and I had no control over the contacts and the things and the beings. And it was like at that stage, it was like every week there was a strange thing that occurred. I would come through a portal in the ceiling, or I would wake up standing outside, or I would look in the sky and see the face of a lion. And when I think of that name, Irradion, it may be one of the sort of soul resonances of one of the beings that was communicating with me at that time, because there were so many. I mean, it was overwhelming. Literally thought I was losing my mind, and I could not tell a single person at that stage. But yeah.
Well, this being feels Lyran and very golden, and his energy bubble just shooting off and leaving the planet after he finished the session. Whatever he was doing with you, it felt like it was in a like an energy field, like a golden round energy field. Together you were sitting in it. In his frequency, he was teaching you something about frequency and mirrors, and going in and out of mirrors, not literal mirrors, but energy sources that
Yeah.
sort of look like mirrors, but they're not. They're fluidic. He was just teaching you how to go in and out of these systems. And then he would drop you off in your backyard and zoom away in his golden energy bubble. And I see him
Wow.
zooming away, and you see the pop of flash, his gold energy going back wherever he came from.
Whoa, that's wild. Okay, here's a weird layer of confirmation, which actually is very close to what you're saying. Around that time period, there were days when I would be at work in a weird manic haze. You know, when the crown chakra's open and you're just like dissociating and going all these places. And there was this series of experiences I had where a being or some voice literally came into my head, and they were telling me how to open up a space or a portal, or honestly, well, the way they showed it to me was like a place. This is going to sound so crazy, everyone. It was a place you could hide energy and observe. And what he taught me to do, or he was showing, was to zip open the wall or a space. It was like you would open something up and you would go into it. And from within that space, you would essentially be invisible here on the physical plane, or it would allow you to sort of view energy in other places, like stepping in between the physical and non-physical world, not all the way into the non-physical world. It was like an in-between space. Like you can imagine if you were in the space in between your wall and the other room, you could hear both of the word, you could hear what was going on both sides. You wouldn't necessarily be in there, but it was like an internal space. And so that's very wild. I've never told a single person of that. And it sounds very similar to what you're talking about, because it was like a running conversation. It would keep happening. And they were like, you just zip open this space, open it up with your hands and go into it. And at the time I was like, what? How is that? Huh? You know what I mean? I had no basis for comparison, but anyway. Yeah.
Energy. How is the energy and the frequency? This guy is 6'6", like long golden hair, Lyran-like features, so somewhat, cat-like, yet not a cat. 6'6".
Yeah.
The robes, the golden flowing robes, all robed and all glowing gold. The golden frequency, literally. And he can make energy bigger or smaller, and he was showing you how to do that. This is just off your energy field.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so that's one experience, and you had many. That's the most important one, because that taught you the portal frequencies, how to work with portals. Open them, close them, make them bigger, smaller, play with the energy. It sounds complicated, but it's very simplistic when you know how to work with energy and you know where the sources of energy are coming from, what you're emitting, what you're creating, what you're dissipating.
Yeah.
So this is what he was teaching you. That's what I sense. So that's kind of like one element of that. And there was many other things, but those are private. And eventually I feel you will remember them as things pop in and out for your need to know.
I certainly hope I do, because I'm one of those people where it's like I've had a lot of wild, crazy experiences in there, but the majority of things that have occurred for me have been ones where it's like I knew that a thing just went down, or I would wake up in the morning and I could feel it was like all the water had been drained out of my body and everything was dried up and weak. Like I ran a mile and I was like, we went somewhere. I think even recently, I was talking about this on another live, like a month or so ago. I literally woke up dead from a sleep in the middle of the night, stood up in our room here, and it was like this voice was all, hurry up and get dressed. You're not going to go anywhere looking like that. And from that, the second after that, I was sitting in an office. And my wife was sitting next to me, and it was like we were in a 70s style office with all this. It was like literally the 1970s or 60s style. And we were sitting there going, this is the moon? What? It was like we were going, this is it? And then poof, it was gone. And I woke up in the morning like weird and literally dried up. It was like something within me was like I couldn't open my eyes all the way, and it was like, what the hell happened? But anyway, go ahead.
That's signs of time dilation interferences. You were time dilated somewhere, maybe into the 1970s when
I had a feeling, because honestly, it literally felt it felt as if the water had been pulled out of my body and put back in. Like everything was dry in a weird way. I was like super thirsty. It was a very strange experience.
That's one of the symptoms. The other ones is aches and pains in the body and feeling extremely tired, like you've been time displaced from one point to another. And I think you did go to the moon in the 1970s to see what the facilities were like back then, because that's not what it looks like right now.
I see that's literally what I'm thinking. I'm like, I cannot imagine it would be 1970s style, but it was one of those things. I know everyone has those crazy dream events where it's like it was too real to not be something, where you're just like, how did we, what? And then suddenly it's the next day and you're like, anyway,
you were ported, and there's sort of like a demiurge left behind to wear a suit and a tie. With a shirt, with a preppy shirt. So that's like a demiurge from that programming. Get dressed. You need to look professional for this event. Yeah. It's sort of like a demiurge that's still sitting in your mind, and you're like, I'm not a suit person. I'm not a preppy person. Why am I having these thoughts?
I'm definitely not. Yeah.
Whoa. Why do I need this in my wardrobe?
Yeah. Whoa. I love it. Thank you for viewing all this wild stuff for us. I'm going to real quickly change the subject here, which is one of the things I did want to ask you about. I love the organic flow of our talk here today, by the way. Thank you for showing up. I mean that sincerely. But one of the things, or rather, Yeah, I guess I'll go there. You could already, I know you can tell where I'm already going to go. One of our experiences, Ileana, has not only been with the bizarreness of the disclosure realm and the many beings, but we've also been very well acquainted with the fakeness and the charlatans and the scammers and the bullshitters. And how, tell me a little bit about your experience, like, because I have seen that it has not been so easy and, you know, such an effortless, beautiful journey of acceptance for you. There's been people that have, quite frankly, said some negative shit about both of us in the past. We were both caught up with the same individual. You know, you make one multi-episode series about them and tons of people won't talk to you anymore. But, you know, what has been your experience with the fakery and the false light in our multidimensional community?
Well, I I feel very uncomfortable when I send somebody lying. I'm itchy, I'm hyper, I could feel the lies. I could literally feel it flowing off a person. I'm like, ew, this is disgusting energy. I want nothing to do with this. And at the time, that particular individual that you and I were dealing with, they're able to mask themselves. They're able to make a sincerity that they're a good person, that they're a great person. You can trust them, you can send them anything you want, and then they'll take it and make it something out of it that's their own story and not yours, and be the gatekeeper in the communities. So I made the mistake of sending that person something with those Mars-based locations that you were remote viewing, and that made them so angry. It triggered them, and they called me out a fake and a liar. I'm like, fine, call me whatever you want. I know I'm not that, and those people who know the real me, and they're not going to call me those things. So that's just like water under the bridge, old news. And I've had people say that I'm a fraud, that I'm not a real practitioner, that I don't have abilities. And there's this horrible woman who's a naturopath and claims she's a doctor, who recently made a video about me, that my aura is nasty and dirty and dark, that I'm a liar.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I just outed her recently. Spirit teaches me this: never out people with their names. Never call somebody out by their name. Now, this woman, she created a story and a narrative and a fake aura reading that she made like 55-minute video about, and she included that person who we were having trouble with next to me.
Nice.
These are the SSPers, and they're liars, and they're they're dark, they're entity infested. She said that I'm infested with entities on a daily basis, and that I'm a clone, and that I'm not living my authentic self in my life. I'm like, lady, you're doing fake aura readings. And I called her out. I made a video about it and a statement. I even put up the letter that I wrote to her.
Yeah.
And I called her out because she's hurting other people with this stuff. She claims to have quantum technology that does these readings. I know it's her own sick bias that's doing these readings, and she's not that talented psychically if she could distort such nasty, and she says the same old nasty stuff about people.
Yeah.
Like about other practitioners. There's a whole hit list of videos.
Oh,
I'm not going to repeat her name. Anybody can go on my channel and take a look.
Talk later.
Yeah, the whole thing is out there. And that was 6 months ago, and I was ignorant to that video until somebody pointed out, hey, this woman is talking crap about you. I'm like, okay, let's go have a look. I filed a copyright strike against her because she took my photos from an old interview.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And superimposed it as a current aura reading. I'm like, that's fraudulent. YouTube took it down and then reinstated it.
So you didn't go to her to read your aura? She took an old photo and decided to do, and was using some kind of technology or something?
That's what she claims. Yeah, she made a video about it.
One of those quantum scanning, device.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still skeptical of anyone that's thinking they're going to do like remote scans with any sort of quantum, like consumer-based like device right now. You guys, sorry to just throw that in there, but you know, like you got people sending you a multi-page printout of what their computer decided you are based upon some program that they downloaded. It's really just personality typology and, like, you know, a bunch of stuff all mixed together. To me, I've seen a couple of those, and it's like these are information that feels like it's just being brought up by some piece of software rather than an actual analysis of energy. And granted, I don't know the situation that you're talking about. I'm just kind of commenting off the top of my head. But anyway, that's a trip.
Yeah, you're quite right. And YouTube took down her video because I did a copyright strike that she stole my photos and is using them for fraud purposes. Unfortunately, she did a counter strike and says that it's her intelligent property and she has the right to use whatever she wants. They put it back. The video's there. Anybody could see it. It's all lies and it's all fraudulent behavior. At this point, I don't care. I actually use that.
I think
it's a compliment. I use that negative experience to actually download a Krillin aura reading app. It's called an EmoCam. And I actually took photos of my aura when I was feeling nasty and sad and angry about this woman's video. And hey, the colors were yellow and orange. And then later on throughout the day, they became green and blue as I started to feel better about myself and actually did a presentation to show how real aura readings work with apps.
Yeah,
there are apps that work. EmoCam seems
no, totally. I think when it comes to the like Corellian photography breakdown, there's like algorithms that will very, very closely like bring up, in my opinion, a lot of the same information. And I guess everyone already knows this, so it doesn't need to be said, but I'll say it anyway. The best way to view a person's aura is just with your own energy, literally your own energy. But
yeah, and I knew how I was feeling and the colors behind those feelings. So I took the pics with this app and I actually went and looked at the color descriptions of aura readings. And I put this in a presentation and it's in my book. I just finished writing books about ETs, SSPs, contact experiences, UFOs. It's all my experiences throughout 8 years, all in 2-volume sets. I'm still refining them, but they're up and people can get them if they want them.
And so those are available. People can still buy your book.
Yeah, they can buy it. Just know it's being refined and changed left and right. Because I did receive some criticisms that I was missing images. If you want, I can tell you what people want exactly in these books. Pictures of reptilian ships, especially the dreadnoughts, because I've seen a lot of different reptilian ships from the SSP stuff. Ships of the SSP crafts, the different crafts. The holographic medical pods, what they look like. The boob lady.
Which one's the boob lady?
So it's a Nordic woman with long blonde hair in this skin-tight silver suit, talking to this military dude, and there's 2 gray aliens standing beside them, 2 grays listening.
I think I've seen this. It feels very familiar. And yeah.
So okay. Sure, you'll get the boob lady. I put it in. I didn't want to because there's décolletage. That's why I call it the boob lady. But you know what? In the long run, if people are asking for it, fine. You can have the boob lady. It's in.
Boob lady's coming back, everybody.
Yes, the boob lady will be in print.
Nice.
And I said, no, I don't want that in. But certain people know that's in my files, and they're like, your writing is great, but you're not putting in your usual image descriptors. The images, what's up with that? These books are going in print. That's why I was trying to be conservative and careful. But I guess, people want the written representation and the image representation because that's what they're used to in my crystal books, my presentations. So, okay, you'll get the boob lady and the other images you've been requesting.
Where can people find those books, or where?
On Amazon.
Where? And
in the
can
links.
You tell us the title? Oh, I will also post that later. Yeah, I didn't post the bottom part of the contact info. I will put that on the video later. But where can you find it?
Yeah, so Ileana's Star Journeys with the UFOs, ETs, SSPs, and past lifetimes, volume 1 and 2. It's on Amazon. It's on my website. Again, I'm still refining these books because I keep having experiences and interesting things I keep adding to them. They're both 500 pages each volume. So
whoa,
still
nice,
growing.
Nice, okay.
But the boob lady's back. So the
Nice.
Nordic and the SSP Commando with the 2 Greys listening. Yeah, the SSP has worked with Greys and Nordics and Reptilians too. Certain factions of these groups have worked with them. So
Oh, I have a question about that. I was watching one of your videos last night, and you talk about the L's. Now, I have not had contact with this group. I don't know much about them. So for me, like, it's one of those ones where I'm like, who are these? But yeah, what can you tell us about the L's?
they're 12-dimensional beings, literally the L race. I think they're the descendants of the ancient builder races. So if you've heard about those, they're the descendants, the offshoot of those guys. And heck, maybe they were the Elohim, because they're called the elder race as well. In Brother Philip's book, Secrets of the Andes. That's where the stuff about the golden sun disk came, about the stuff in Peru, Amaro Moro. So I met them in mid-2000s. I was taken up physically on their ship, the Akashic and the Anishin. I was shown how to do timeline jumping and time traveling through their holographic technology and, time dilation energetically, working with time to shift timelines. They're the ones that taught me how to change timelines from negative to positive. They also taught me crystalline healing, like the Arcturians. They claim that they come 15,000 years from the future to help us with that dreaded word ascension. Without human evolution and the ascension, most people say ascension is a bad thing, that only happens in the afterlife, but ascension is the evolution of your soul frequency going higher dimensionally. And you learning and evolving as a spiritual being. That's what ascension is. And you can do it while you're alive or after you pass away. So that word is not a bad word, honestly.
I agree.
People think that's a horrible word and that it should not be used in spiritual teachings anymore.
Well, I think it gets misused and thrown around. It's become kind of like a new age sort of what's the word? Can't even say it. Platitude. It's like tired. It's been played out. Everyone knows what it is. It's just a thing that people throw around. Yet it is also a literally real process that we are both living in. And I think most of it happens after we die. But I mean,
that's sadly, people don't know what it is. It is because the ignorance is that only happens after you die. It happens when you're alive and when you die. It's the upliftment, evolution of your soul, literally, to a higher energy frequency where things open up to you. Downloads, uploads from the universe, connection to your higher selves, your spirit guides, the multidimensional universe. That is part of the ascension growing process of the soul. The light body, the astral travel, the psychic abilities, that is ascension, literally. And it's living form of soul energy frequency upliftment, going higher, being better than you used to be, growing into your full potential. That is ascension.
Thank you.
That's what it feels like to me as I work with it, with those energies. It's not just a word you throw around. It's not a new age concept. It's been around for eons, since the creation of eternity, literally. So they were showing me what ascension is supposed to look like 100 years from now at the event, the horizon.
What is it supposed to look like? Tell us. What'd they show you?
All this evil, all this garbage removed, clean planet, everything is stable, beautiful looking. That's one potentiality if we shift into that energy that we're supposed to go in. If we wake up, if we change our ways, we have to do the work, not just expect the ETs to come and save us, the federations, the councils. They're just watching and making sure we're not killed off by the reptilians. That's their jobs. That's what they're doing in secret, watching and observing and protecting from afar. They're not going to come and fix all our human problems because, let's face it, not all these problems ETs created. We created a lot of this too. So we have to take responsibilities and clean up the mess too. So they're already doing their part, but they're not going to mess with human affairs. they do have a prime directive from what I could see in the remote viewing, and a non-interference clause where they talk and talk and talk in sessions to decide what their plans are, which planet they're going to save, where they're going to go, how they're going to do it. There's so many beings involved in those processes. They talk, but where's the action and a reaction?
Yeah, I feel like the action's up to us, really, but who knows? Anyway, how are you doing on time? Because I'm going to ask you a couple more questions if you have time for it.
Sure.
I know we've been talking for a while because I have it's either it's like an ability or like a curse. I'll just go on forever with certain things, so I have to like check in with people. But for those of you guys that are still hanging out, thanks for being here, and we please throw questions in there. I know we skipped through a couple while like we were talking, but if you guys have any questions for Ileana, please throw them in there. I'll just plop them on the screen. It might be odd, but here's a question I have for you. And maybe there's no answer for this, but I have been one of those people that, for better or worse, I have had what I believe to be very notable reptilian experiences, all the way down to an experience that I had in our house in Los Angeles a couple of years ago, where I've told this before on another live stream, but I physically touched this being, physically with my actual hand, physically touched a reptilian. He told me, like, anyway, it's a long story, which I'm not going to dive into here today, but, and yet all we hear about them is that there's this negative race that's out to enslave humanity and overtake us, and this and that about Orion. And I know you and I talked on a previous show about kind of some of my stuff with Orion, but have you encountered positive reptilian energy?
Well, I sometimes communicate with the Zagor, who is a reptilian insectoid hybrid. And he was created by the Draco, but he's choosing to be free and not to be enslaved by the Draco. He was a Dark Fleet kind of liaison to me when I was in Dark Fleet and on Mars. 14 to 7 feet tall, green skin, black eyes, wears a smart suit, black-red smart suit.
I think he's aware of this. As soon as you mentioned that, a little window opened up. So it's like, I'm like...
and no. He only talks in reptilian. He does not want to learn English. He thinks it's dishonoring his people who are fighting for their freedom from the evil reptilians. But he was genetically created by reptilians. He's not pure evil. He's not pure good, but he's not pure evil. And he's helped me out a lot, and he's banished some pretty negative, dark things from clients of mine, because he sometimes pops in and channeling and starts the channeling in reptilian.
I feel like there's a lot of reptilians that also work alongside me as well. I know for some people that's a triggering thing to hear, but it's just, I have been aware of them so many times at so many stages now that it often baffles me. And I kind of wonder in my own way, how come I am not bitterly targeted, or sort of, how come all this stuff doesn't happen? I will say that I have been absolutely aware of kind of like what you're talking about, where it's like, it's not good or bad. It's sort of right. And, it could be a little bit of both. But one thing I have noticed is with the reptilian contacts that I've had, I have been very aware that I was not in control. It was like, here's a thing that's happening, and it's like you just go through it, and then boom, it's over. And it's like, I definitely was not the one driving the vehicle in those cases. So there's a little bit of weirdness in that. I have to say, it was one of those things where I realized I was at the mercy of this experience, but for some reason, none of them have been negative. In fact, the more that I have leaned into those energies, the more things have become clear. And there's been other changes that have come along with it. But, I often wonder why, how come it doesn't happen to me?
Well, there's always a lesson to be learned with reptilians. And when you meet somebody like that, because their energy is tough, gruff, they're forward moving, forward shifting, make the changes in your life, do the work. Zagor is always on me. I've channeled him even, and it's clean on it. It's a guttural, quick, fast reptilian, things coming in, swirling energy. And he's even helped me in banishments and entity attachment removal. I don't do that anymore. I don't do entity attachment removal anymore because I'm focusing on healing from a pure healing perspective energetically. I am taking a rest from entity attachment removal.
I think that's wise. As you bring people through a process of healing, in most cases, those attachments will leave anyway.
Yes,
Not always, but
exactly.
in many cases, you purify the container, nothing else can hold on. But anyway, go ahead.
Exactly. And yes, I have worked with dragons, with elementals, with a metal silver looking dragon who's one of my protectors. Yes, I've met them when I was learning magic. He taught me how to do the energy portal stuff, actually, how to work with
Nice.
metal energy and frequency, a silver dragon and a blue dragon as well. So this is their element. A lot of them are elemental beings right now, but dragons do exist in other dimensions. They're very much physical, and they're protectors and guardians for people and for souls. This is what because somebody's asking about.
Oh no,
dragons.
totally. I actually definitely agree about I call it the dragon realm. They're literally real. I was never really big into dragons. I was one of those people that was like, yeah, you know, dragons, whatever, they're cool. And then boom, like reptilian stuff started taking place in my life, and we've had dragons show up in healing sessions, all kinds of stuff like that. So they're literally real. And I think for a lot of us right now, we're in a stage on Earth where, based on what's going on the Earth plane, there's dragon aspects for each of us. And they're like trying to reach through going, hey, we can help you. We've been through this before. We've had similar encounters. Like, remember, you know, the stuff that we've done. And anyway, they're definitely out there.
I have a whole grimoire magic book about magic that is about dragons, dragon magic, and the Dragon Circle cast about life renewal, positive manifestation. Dragon magic can do a lot with that.
Yeah.
Like I have a whole book, a whole grimoire that's a magic book about certain topics. I have 4 of them, plus a shaman book, plus now digital books about my life experiences in paperback. It's like always create an archive of what you're learning that's significant and meaningful for you. I have a lot of different archives because I don't want to lose this stuff. Yeah. It's a knowledge repository. That's something I do as a soul. But dragon magic is real. It exists. I've worked with it. I've learned it on my own because nobody taught me it. I found it in the most obscure places on the internet about magic.
Yeah, that's how it's been for me with a lot of stuff. No one really taught me things. It's like I found my way to certain things, and it was like, oh, you know, I would go through this weird path of reacclimation with it. And, you know, some things stay, some things leave, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I do have a 2 techniques that I do for memory retrieval and repressed memories. I'm actually working on putting out a course for that, which again, depending how time flows, we'll see when that's out. But yes, I do. I have the portal technique and the time machine technique. Plus I do hypnosis for memory recalls and regressions. So I have a few certain different techniques. And people do tend to be proprietary with them most of the time because they're working on them, they're developing them, they're working with others on them. What I will say is that there are a lot of stuff on YouTube that helps to like do past life regression. There's free things. So if you're interested, you can look things up on YouTube. And when I have my course up, you can actually take the course and you'll get to learn both techniques.
Nice. I look forward to seeing when that comes out. Get ready for a potentially triggering question that's definitely trying to lead us down a fun rabbit hole, but I'm going to open it up anyway. I love it when someone comes through with a nebulous username as well, like user. But yeah, go ahead. Do you want to take that one, or you want to let it pass?
Well, these individuals all have their own things to say, and they serve their own purposes in what they bring out. Ileana Denon is very knowledgeable about the Ark ships and the Cedars. That information, I believe, is very sincere and true because she's writing a book about that. I just wrote a book about that, and we're writing the same stuff. So I think she's very honest and sincere about that information, and that's true. That information is true. And she's the Galactic Federation of Worlds emissary. So folks, make up your own minds what information you're getting from these people and what you're sensing. I believe she is a beautiful soul who's doing her life's work on this planet. I don't judge people. I'm very neutral. In terms of Michael Salla, he's had hits and misses with information. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. And again, you know, to each their own. I'm not going to badmouth anyone.
Nice.
I don't do that.
That's a really good way to put it. I will say this much. I'm just glad that Michael Salla is no longer, you know, got the Corey like attachment going on. He seems to have dumped that one off him. So, you know, good. So like you did a good job on that one, my friend. I look forward to seeing what you're doing next. And honestly, I've enjoyed both of their content, but yeah, make up your own minds, you guys. Everyone's got a little bit of genuineness and everyone's got a little bit of other stuff as well. But anyway, you can tell there's so much more I want to say there.
Well, like I said, I don't judge these people. I think they all bring in good information at points and times. I often listen to Michael Salla's info and I take in what feels real to me and what doesn't, I just leave behind.
Yeah.
You know, same with Ileana.
Yeah. I've actually loved her videos. I tried to get her on our show. She did not respond, but that's okay. Well, most people don't. So
she's a busy person. I've had her on my show. I've been on her show once. Yes, I've sent her emails to asking to be on her show or her to come on mine, and I've gotten no responses. That's okay. She's busy. She's doing her own stuff. That's fine. She is an interesting person that I'm happy that I got to learn from and enjoy talking to her. I don't judge who's genuine or not. I don't do that. It's sometimes I have sensed that people have attachments and they're bringing out this info and lying.
Yeah. And yet we do have people out there in a text message conversation with alien with a group of, what was it, Tagetan, like
cosmic agency,
the aliens that are having a text message chat group.
Okay, yeah, I done. Yes, Gosha Dozik. Her name is Gosha Dozik. She runs the cosmic agency. That's where these Swaru Tagetans are from. Okay, I was asked, what is she all about? What is happening, that the messages she's receiving is being all filtered through an AI system. And
I totally agree with you on this one. I saw it like a year ago watching the videos, and I was like, number one, it's not real. Number two, everyone's gonna believe it is. Okay, go ahead, guys, have fun. And I was just like, see you later.
The thing is, they bring in information about soul growth and galactic information that is somewhat true and somewhat not true. And you have to listen to the resonance frequency of what's true and what's, well, bunk. What the AI is filtering through. And she channels. She says she doesn't do any channeling, but I get totally channels. Come on. It's obvious. The way
everybody does a little bit when you're tapping into spirit, you know.
Yeah.
For some people it's a thing, others it's a momentary.
Well, she says she does zero channeling, but I could feel the energy through these beings is channeled. And when she actually channels, it's more genuine than when it's coming through the internet AI system. So this person is not bad herself. I don't believe she's bad. I don't even think she's doing this on purpose. She's just not aware of the capabilities of what AI can manufacture and produce. Because she's put out some good things too. It's not all negative. I don't judge her, but the AI system is there and is giving her messages through these Tagetans.
Yeah, you know, here's where I am with that. I will. A lot of people already know this. I will make my semi-official statement once again, because one of the things I do, or for some reason, it's been presented to me so many times over the past couple of years. People literally will book a session with me and come in and go, "So and so said this, so and so said that. Another person told me this about me. Which is real." What isn't? And it's not that I have any of the answers in that. It's not that any of us is going to be able to tell you exactly what it is, but truth has a resonance. And there's going to be things that you pick up from people, you know, whether it's YouTube, whether it's on so-and-so's blog, whether, you know, whatever it is. And you can hear, you know, like the 80-20 rule, you know what I mean? You're going to get 80% bullshit, and right at the end, you're going to pick up some very useful things. And so what I do, my official stance at this point, because, you know, a lot of people have been up in arms about so-and-so channel in this group and so-and-so channel in this council, and, all of the kind of the fanaticism within the bizarreness of our modern spiritual realm. I literally take it all as entertainment value. The more I'm entertained by it, the better. I don't really allow it to like define my experience, and I just look for the threads. Like certain things fit, some don't. It's really that for me, it's as simple as throw out what doesn't work, grab onto the ones that do. Even the ones that do, it doesn't make it true. You know what I mean? But I think that's kind of our journey here as we go into fourth density, is discovering what's my truth, what's my reality. And I think you'll probably agree with this. We're at a stage on Earth where there are a countless number of realities clashing and coinciding and meeting all at the same time. And so what is literally real for me is going to be a fairy tale for you, meaning there's still people out there wearing 3 and 4 and 5 masks in their car all day long, you know, waiting for Omicron to grab them. And it's like, cool, go for it, dude. Like you can totally stay there. But, you know, to me, that's just that's par for the journey on Earth in 2022. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, it's people. I get people too in sessions. Well, so and so told me this about me, and da 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 da. And I say, well, I don't go off of what other people told you.
It's a
I
murky
do.
road.
Yeah, I do my own scan and I do my own reading, and I tell you what I'm getting from my own ability, from the universe, my psychic ability, my remote viewing ability, my galactic soul reading ability. I have so many different abilities. Or the ETs come in and they give a reading to you, because some people prefer to work with the ETs and some don't. I don't go by what other psychics, channelers have told you is the information that they think is right for you. I go by what I get in the session that is fresh, that is coming from my abilities and from the universe, or from your higher selves, you know, your spirit guides, your protectors, whoever is giving you the messages, positive ones, whatever's coming in, this is what I can tell you. I'm not going to go sifting through another person's back layer of information from a different session. Yeah, that might be relative, that might be not relative to this session, that might be true, that might not be true. I don't go on other people's work. I never do that, because you know what? It could be similar or totally different. It comes through a different psychic lens perspective as well, and personalities. So I never intermesh other people's work with my own. Yeah, sometimes what I'm writing about coincides, the Ark ships, the Hall of Records. Yeah, half of my books are on that.
But here's the thing, and I know you can agree with this. These are things like the Ark ships or the holic records, or the commonly discussed aspects of things that are activating on the Earth plane. Those are viewable by all. So a number of people are going to be making their own observations about this and that. Everyone's going to be describing it from their own perspective. And there's a cheesy thing that I say all the time, so it's kind of meaningless for me, but every single professional intuitive is merely looking through a keyhole into your energy field. You're the one that's in there with it. And so for one person, it'll be a foot. For other person, it's a hand. For one person, it's a tire. Another person, it's a doorknob. It's like you're the only one that really knows. And so anyway, not to go on a rant about that, but yeah, we all have a key.
You're completely right. And it's not fair to measure somebody else's results, their work, with what your work is, because it might be similar and the same, or it might be totally different in what's coming in, because it's uniquely special to the session and how somebody is doing the session. Not everybody is to the same psychic degree and ability. Somebody can give you more, somebody can give you less, or equal or less than, based on the ability, based on the energies, based on what's coming in. There's so many variables in this. You're not going to have the same thing every time, same reading, the same message. And just use your own discernment, your own intuition, and what you're being told in a session. And if you don't resonate with that, you have the right to say, I don't resonate, and I don't agree with this, or I do agree, or yeah, it sort of jives. I always ask, how do you resonate with what you're receiving in the information? Does it resonate with you, or does it not resonate with you? How do you feel about it? I do the check-in with the clients. I ask them, what's going on? Yeah. And if it vibes, it vibes. And if it doesn't, it's still a message to consider and ponder and see what comes from it. Yeah. Those are readings in a nutshell.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you. Any recommendations for someone beginning the shaman's path? What do you think?
You can study shamanism, self-study. There's a lot of information, good stuff out there. Or you can take your time to look for a good teacher. Don't just go with anybody. Take your time to find somebody who you resonate with. And I know people say Google is evil and don't use it and da 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 da. But Google still has good reviews about teachers, about mentors. Their reviews of real people, they'll tell you who the real people are that are good. I go on reviews. If I'm looking for a teacher, I do read the reviews. I'm sure you read reviews too, right?
I kind of do. Point? I'm sort of a weirdo because, oh God, this will sound really dumb to a lot of people. I don't really read anything. I don't really go to any classes. I don't really do any sort of structured paths of learning at this stage. It sounds weird to say that, but I don't. I will literally look at a person and go by the feeling, which for some people is a cool thing. I always say this, but if people knew the level to which I acted on intuition alone in this world, they would either be really impressed or horribly frightened. But I'll look at it and feel it yes or no instantly. And that doesn't mean I make the right choices because a lot of it's been it doesn't always work out. But yeah, for me, I just grab onto their energy and go from there. But anyway,
I do the same you do. I read people, potential teachers, potential friends, potential life partners, life situations. I read everything in percentages of probability.
Oh, nice.
This much, this little, good, bad, yes, no. But honestly, just if you want to do the traditional shamanic path and study shamanism, you could do it through self-learning. You could do it with a teacher. Just make sure you're fine. If you are doing it with a teacher, somebody who's like certified in shamanism and is legit, preferably Native American, because I've had a good experience with Leonard. And again, I actually looked at Google reviews when I was looking for a shaman. I looked for 2 years.
That's a good way to do it.
Honestly, I know Google, not great, whatever. Okay. It's an AI system. Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
But it's still good for searching for certain things, like teachers.
I agree. There's still some value there. Are you taking on any new Padawans, Ileana? What's going on? Are you teaching people right now?
I teach courses from time to time. Crystal grids, manifestation, soul retrieval, hypnosis. But I am, from time to time, I would say yes, but I'm not a guru. I am a psychic and a healer. That's the work that I do currently, honestly. Teaching is a small part of my world. So if you want to be a Padawan, there's a long list of wait times for that one. I'll be honest. That's just how it is right now. I'm just doing sessions left and right. There seems to be a need for healing and for psychic stuff and just helping people. That's what I'm doing. So thank you. Padawan sounds like a great word, and I do it from time to time. Yes.
Nice. I agree, though. I think this is the stage of our collective consciousness where it's about people opening up their own abilities. I think that it's kind of one of those things where people talk about the mystery school education process. It's never a place you go. It's a path of discovery within yourself. It's a literal this uncovering and unfurling of the energy within us. And so I think for a lot of us, like the starting point, which sounds crazy, is to get ready, guys. For at least for me, the starting point was with healing and working with the inner child and with allowing myself to exist within that internal realm of pure imagination, to heal it, to kind of go in there, to work with, that little version of us. And for at least for me and a lot of the people that, we work with, it's that when we start to open up and heal that aspect of ourselves, there's this whole other world, this whole other version of you that will awaken as well. And anyway, go ahead. You're going to comment on that.
Yeah, I didn't start working with my inner child. I started working with the grown-up, the SSP stuff, the dark stuff, the shadow stuff.
That makes sense for you, totally.
The soul trauma and the sickness trauma in me, because I've had chronic issues all my life. So I started working on those things because the inner child said to me this: you need to heal the grown-up before you can heal the inner child. Start with the grown-up.
Nice.
So I started with a grown-up. Then I went to discover the magical aspects of the imagination, creation, creativity, past life reconnections, because I've felt so disconnected with the past life stuff, and it was missing something that I knew that was there and I wanted back. And so I just followed the path of what was right for me at the time. Just follow the path of what's right for you and what feels good to do, to explore. Shamanism, magic, healing, whatever your soul is calling you to do. If it feels right to you, try to explore it. See what's out there, and you'll find it. The message that's always coming in constantly: divine timing is everything at this stage.
Totally.
If it's right and it's meant to be, it'll be when it's supposed to be.
Yeah. What were I have been reading the books of Carlos Castaneda.
Yes.
Recently, and in like one of his books, he mentions like the path of the shaman, and he says it's all about discipline, timing, forbearance. There was another element of it, but all of those things I think are absolutely 100% relevant. And you know, just to sort of add in there, they also talk about how the true enemy of the shaman is our own sense of self-importance.
Exactly. Self-importance,
which made so much sense to me. I was like, you know.
Yeah. And before even doing this interview, I received some comments. You need to improve your books. You need to add this in, this in, this. There was a whole wish list of what people want to see in these books. And I'm like, again, I have to redo this a fifth time again. And then I said to myself, this is not about you. You've experienced this. You've lived this. People are asking you for what they want to see in the books, what's important to them. Just do the work. Put in the hard work. Re-upload the books, republish when you're ready, include the images, just do the work, because the work is important to do. It's not about you. You've been given good criticism that you should think about, ponder, and actually apply to your books, including the boob lady, the Nordic boob lady. Okay.
Boob lady's coming back, everybody. The boob lady's on her way back. She's going to be on the cover. 20% more boob lady free with each copy.
Yeah, I'm not about the décolletage. I'm always about covering up, but this image actually represents what the SSPs do in wearing the tight skin suits. The Nordics wear the tight skin suits. Not all of them are about this, but this image brings up energy, brings up something. I've never found an image like it anywhere else.
Nice. I haven't like officially seen it. I think I have, maybe I haven't, but now I gotta find out who the boob lady
is. I'll send you. I'll send it.
I want to check it out.
I characterize it because there's a bit of skin showing in the smart suit, and the ladies are out a little bit, and she has this very important face looking. She's talking to the military guy, and the two grays are just like listening. Yes. And he's holding some kind of a nacelle device or communication device, the military dude, and they're in a gray room. It reminds me of the SSP military stuff, meeting with the ETs and different ETs. And yes, they work with grays, reptilians in the Nordics. Some of these factions aren't very discerning about who they work with, as long as they get the tech and the regenerative technology and they can reverse engineer it. Yeah, they work with grays. So seeing the Nordics and the grays with the military guy and the blonde lady, you could tell Nordic, and the two grays listening in carefully. Like she's teaching them something and the commandos talking. So that's a typical representation of what I've seen in the SSP.
Interesting.
And this guy named Jean-Charles Moyen, the French SSP, and the Canadian SSP, for some reason, this image I associate with him.
Oh, interesting.
Even though he's never said he saw grays or Nordics or these specific looking commandos, but this image came in when I heard his testimony. And this is typical of SSP.
I should check it out. I have seen his name. I saw a couple of videos with his name roll by on YouTube. I should maybe.
Yeah, Jean-Charles Moyen.
I think he's going to be on Journey to Truth tomorrow, or watch it somebody else, and I'm totally misquoting it. Sorry if it is.
I was just, but from a psychic, it's like that image. I was writing about him and the genetics because his DNA, like they did a DNA test on him. There was a scanner, and then the cybernetics labs. Every day you went into the cybernetics labs, you had to get a genetic scan to make sure you're not implanted with somebody else's implants, that you're not a clone, that you're not a shapeshifter, you haven't been altered in any way, you're not a cyborg, you're the real body, or you don't have somebody else's soul in your own body. This is what the genetic scanner platform did. You put your hands on it, scans everything inside you, including your soul frequency, to make sure you're clean, that it's you coming into these cybernetics labs on the Planetary Corp Mars bases, because they didn't want the enemy coming in and screwing up what they're working on, genetically modifying humans with ET-DNA, T-human hybridization. They make cyborgs, they make the biological drug serums, holographic medical pods. They have their fingers in every little cookie jar, and they want to make sure that's protected. Jean-Charles Moyen had a different experience than me, but the genetic scanner thing was there. It's portable. It could be small, big. I want to get a
genetic scan. That sounds cool. Genuinely, I want to get a scan. I want to know what would show up.
Well, I've already played.
Turns out I'm a clone. Sorry, everybody. I just got scanned, but
you're not a clone. You're not. You don't have a frequency of a clone.
I agree.
But this technology, Jean-Charles Moyen described it the same way as I did. I actually wrote about him in my book. And the boob lady popped in with a commando and the two grays, and so everybody's like. And the scanner device, or whatever that thing is, I feel like it has to do with genetics.
I'm starting to think that you might be the boob a lady. I have a weird feeling. She's shown up so much in this. Is this an aspect of you?
Maybe no, but I'm not about the décolletage and showing off tatas. I'm not
maybe
about
on
that.
Another timeline. Maybe
no, my smart suit. No. My smart suit covered up everything. No, this is not me. This is a Nordic woman with long hair, and it's not an aspect of me. It's something. I don't know, that description that he was providing about the genetic stuff. It brought up Nordics, it brought up Greys, and it brought up SSP commandos. Nice. In that configuration. And when I found that image representation, it's like, this is no good, because it has the smart suit décolletage. And, it's like, I'm not a prude, but I have something about this stuff being shown too much. It's like, no, but Spirit said, but it is an actual representation of a form of reality that's interconnected with these SSP programs. It needs to be included. And it is included in my research archive, but by popular demand, those people who have requested the boob lady, okay, you'll get her. Because it just represents the write-up about what I was writing, and they're like, images, you got to show images. Nice. And I was trying to be very conservative about images.
I'm glad you're bringing in images. I want to see them now. Honestly, I want to check it out.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I don't even know where their original picture is, where it's saved in my archives, because I have so many images connected to all this stuff. And I don't think it's a coincidence that these things float in existence, because they're all interconnected.
Part of the collective consciousness. Totally.
Exactly. Yeah. So, it's interesting. And I have a desire to not have that image in this book, but people are asking for it. So how many people are requesting?
People are requesting it. It's happening. Yes. Look, everyone out there. There's at least 3 people in the chat. There's at least 3. Everybody
Well,
wants the boob lady. What's going on?
well, I don't know what any other name to give this image.
No, I love it. I love that that she's shown up here like multiple times. There's probably like an astral version of her out there going, like
Yeah.
anyway.
Let's just say enough people requested it that I have to redo the book and put it in because it's been asked for. People are like, I didn't get this in this version of the book and I got it in a previous book version.
Yeah.
So why is this being audited out of this book?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Well, I look forward to seeing and hearing about that like coming out. Maybe you can post the boob lady on Facebook and everybody will check it out. But
no, I'm not going to post it on Facebook.
Okay, don't post it on.
I'm going to try to keep it in the book and see what Amazon says about the boob lady, because this is paperback version and digital. So we'll see what
that might work.
We'll see if Amazon lets it slip through.
Oh, they will. They will. Boob lady for president. I don't know. Honestly, it's so crazy. It just might work, Tiffany. But anyway, here is the deal. Because watch out, we'll keep doing this forever. I have a feeling we're gonna ask you to come back. That is, if I continue this show. I don't know if I'll continue it. It might end after tomorrow. Tomorrow might be our last show ever. But if it isn't, we're gonna have you come back and talk about more of this stuff. In the meantime, because I have a feeling there's a bunch of people here in the chat that are gonna want to take part in your work and the stuff that you're doing. Can people book sessions with you and get healings and like connect with you? And how do they do it?
Just through the website, and again, I have a list, so it's like you can do the sessions. It's just time, and the website is Messages from a Star Traveler.
Nice. And they can also find you on YouTube as well, which you do a ton of videos. You're always putting stuff out there, so people can find you on YouTube. And just say the name of the YouTube channel again.
Awakening Cosmic Reality Show. And no, the boob lady is not coming on YouTube. I was
going to ask that. Damn, literally, I was going to mention that next.
Again, I have a reservation about the décolletages. I don't know. I'm not a prude. Far from it.
I feel you.
I don't like to put out stuff that has décolletage. And I always ask people who are coming onto my show of the female variety, please wear something that doesn't showcase anything up top.
It's a family show, right? It's a family show, guys. It's just us and the Greys and a bunch of people from the SSP and a bunch of CIA and NSA agents. That's all it is. But there's also kids. And so, we're going to keep it real conservative.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's just me. Me and décolletages and open décolletages don't work, but it's not my desire to even have the boob lady in my book, but a lot of people asked for it. I was like, I got a C- on my, they said, you're good at the writing, the descriptors, but where's the images? People are so used to these images. I got a C- on the images, not enough images. Where is your remote viewing images? Yeah. Where is the boob lady? Like, I'll give you a list. Do you want to hear the list? What was requested? Yeah. Ark ships, number 1. Okay. Reptilian ships, number 2. SSP ships, number 3. Boob lady, number 4. They asked for more examples of sacred geometry images and what that looks like. Holographic medical pods is number 1, 2 on the list.
Oh, I can only imagine.
So those are all the requests, and that I include all the images from my remote viewing, whether it's images from the internet or something that I drew myself, that all of it needs to be in these books. So this is what has kind of prompted me to redo the books, because this is like, I've been literally given a list of what they want to see in these books. Nice. So I will comply and I will do it, because it's nothing personal to me. I've experienced this. I've lived this. This is not about me. It's what the people want to see and read and look at. So I'm fine with this criticism. I can fulfill this request.
Nice. I look forward to seeing it. And honestly, thank you for rolling through here. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for imparting your knowledge, the wildness of your experience. Thank you for keeping it weird. Like, I love how we literally jumped into the deep end of the pool with Obama as a demonic alien being, which I guess it wasn't demonic.
No.
It's a ET being.
Yeah.
Some people out there will agree. Others will be like, what? But no, seriously, thank you for showing up. Thank you for being just a really cool source of multidimensional information that I have taken over the years. And yeah,
But
anything
what?
else? Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, you wanted to ask me something that you weren't comfortable with completely asking. So what is it? Say it.
Oh,
What?
what? I think we touched on it. I think we sort of went there. Well, here, I'll just say it and we'll sort of crack open the can of worms. I was going to dive more into, the how everyone's channeling the fake councils and, all of the, just the false light channeling and how that's been a weird thing, which we did actually touch on it. I was just debating on using people's names, and we kind of sort of halfway did, in a weird way that, I always get weird and angular about how I ask questions. So the reality is I did actually go there. So,
Well,
yeah.
what names are coming up? And this is your show. Feel free to say what you want because you didn't get to say fully what you wanted to say, and it's on your mind. So say it.
I think it's probably for the best. Like, honestly, the sort of bubble popped and the moment passed by, and we we will discuss it in the future,
But
which I look forward to doing. Go
what's
ahead.
your
Yes.
bit of wisdom that you would say about this topic if you were asked, what's
Oh,
the
okay.
takeaway?
Oh, that's a better way to put it. My takeaway is that there are many forces available for humans to connect with. Not all of them are in alignment. It's really up to us to sort of discern. And I think the most important thing people can do right now when it comes to extraterrestrial things, channeling stuff, galactic federations of light and councils, and the very detailed beings that people create a cultivated relationship with, almost like a character in a book. To me, those are usually signs of a projection and things that people will sort of grab onto and like sort of, kind of like create with their own consciousness. And I just enjoy watching it all and getting the entertainment value behind it. But I'm incredibly skeptical of all of the incredibly detailed information from the multidimensional councils. It often baffles me that when people reach out to an extraterrestrial energy, they somehow want to reach out to a galactic governmental structure. Like, why would you want to reach out to the galactic government or some sort of control structure? Why wouldn't you want to reach out to the beings and the energies that are linked to you? And so I often become skeptical when people show up with a very fully formed version of something. It's almost like a story that they're cultivating, creating, and then the higher self is, also a part of that. And it's not saying it's real or it's not, but I'm just very skeptical. And, sometimes I go a little bit overboard with it, but we usually broach it in sort of a sideways kind of non-confrontational way. And I guess that's what we were doing earlier. So
Yeah, and I remote viewed the Galactic Federation of Worlds, and I sort of reconnected to that organization because I've had my own experiences with them in past lives, not in this lifetime, it was past lives, as the Star Traveler, the Guardian, the Universal Guardian. She was a guardian. She went to planets and did work that nobody else wanted to do. The dirty work, removing dark things from planets that nobody else wanted to touch, and they would sit and debate about it on and on and on and on. And she would just like, nope, just go do it. Just go do it and create freedom. That was her perspective. And I didn't even want to remote view the Galactic Federation of Worlds, to be honest, because they're a military organization. They have their own things going on. They do want freedom. They want soul expansion. I saw that in the remote viewing. The stuff that's already known about them, and they are contacting some people to provide information, but there's also imposters that are claiming to be them and mind controlling other people through AI systems or the grays, holographic projections. So just being very careful and mindful of what's coming into your soul stream, into your soul field, who you're getting messages from. They might not be who you think they are. That's all I will say about this stuff.
No, I like that. I have observed at least within the what I believe to be the extraterrestrial kind of experiences with what I would call soul councils, is that they don't, I'll just say it, they don't give a shit about earth-based politics or dynamics. They're talking about our soul's growth. They're talking about our path as a multidimensional being. They're talking about what we're healing and what we're sort of activating within the self. And when it comes to like politics and presidents and sort of technologies and things that are kind of the flavor of the moment, you know, those things don't even register. And maybe that's just my experience when I reach out there. I reserve the right to be utterly and completely wrong. You know what I mean? Who knows? Maybe we're all drinking cobra venom in the water, and, you know, like, dude, the council's, you know, alongside us, and like the Anshar bus is waiting out back, like, you know, to pick us up, and all we have to do is just vibrate into 5D and all of our problems will go away. I could be wrong. Maybe that's how it is. But it stands to reason to me that it's really up to us to discern and to figure it out and to piece it together. And what do you think?
You're right about that. When we connect to the soul councils, they're about helping us figure it out. I had problems with earth government agencies and financial agencies, and I was so frustrated and upset. And then I did get an experience with the Council of Nine, which are beings, positive beings from the ninth dimension.
Literally real.
They are. They're not a group of 9 beings. They're from the ninth dimension. That's why I call them the Council of Nine. They're not a CIA op. Some people are saying Council of Nine is a CIA op. It's
really?
Not. Yes. That's floating about in the water too. Yes. Or the council, like the 9. Now they're calling it the group of 9 or the 9. There is a council of 9 who are beings on the 9th dimension that can take on any form or shape and put you in a place that you feel comfortable in energetically in the dimension that you're meant to go to help you figure things out with these beings, to help you with your physical problems. They helped to heal my anger issues. They helped to let go of the frustration so I could calmly deal with these agencies and organizations and figure it out. And I did. It was actually simplistic. Once I received the healing in the crystal pyramid and talked to the beings and got the experiences, yes, all of that stuff was healed and released. I know that sounds strange, but that's the experience.
No, totally.
So
yeah, thank you. The councils are definitely there. I would even venture to say that for many of us, what we call the higher self, or maybe I'll speak for me. What I have discerned about myself is that what I call the higher self is a collection of consciousnesses and beings, very much like a council of energies and consciousnesses that chose to grant their energy to this human experience. They're constantly revolving. Some stay, some leave. There is, depending on what's going on in our lives, there's other members or elements that will show up within that council structure. But at least for me, that's what I understand as the higher self. Outside of that, yes, there's many governmental structures, and, you know, honestly, a whole, just, you know, you get 2 or 3 astral beings together and boom, now we have a council. You know what I mean? They're literally everywhere. Just like, you know, any of us all together, you know, we can become a council as well. And anyway, I just think it's one of the hallmarks of our experience as we go from 3rd into 4th and 5th density, that we become aware of those things. And I guess to kind of seal it up on that one, because it's always a murky road that I'll rant on for hours. I think the reason why it's a focus, or one of the things that I choose to comment about, is not only because it's happening to many people, but because I think one of our missions as a collective is to learn to discern what's actually real, what's actually not, understanding our side of it, the collective side of it, and really kind of healing and, you know, creating clarity around that. And anyway, watch out, I'll go on and on, but
no, you're completely right. And it's also about respect. Even if we don't necessarily agree with everything that everybody's putting out, or certain individuals, if somebody's going to ask me, do I think that these people are genuine or not, and name call, I'm not going to call people by names and say things about people, because I'm neutral. I don't have any attachments to anybody or anybody's information, really. I can listen to it. I'm like, ponder the information, yet feels real or not to me. And then I let it go, and I don't take it with me, and I don't get upset over who said this, who said that. At the end of the day, that's that person's perspective, and they have the right to the information that they're bringing out, whatever it is, as long as it's not hurting anybody, it's not devaluing anybody, you know, that's the most important thing, because if it actually is hurting somebody, then that's a whole other story. But these people are sharing their own experiences.
Yeah.
So be it. I have no personal attachments to them.
I like that. I think that's one of the most important things we can do, is to continue to share our experiences, the right, wrong, the sad, the crazy, like the beautiful, the triggering elements of it. I think it helps people open up their intuitive abilities. It helps us develop discernment. It gives us pieces of our own internal experiences by hearing other people's. It's like little keys get inserted within the energy body, and we start to remember stuff. And anyway, that said, thank you for hanging out with us. It's been about 2.5 hours. I look forward to doing this with you in the future. How can people find you now? We know we got your YouTube, we got your website already. Just say it one more time for those of you that are going to be out there looking for Ileana. Where do we find you once again?
Messages from a Star Traveler, that's the website. Seeking the Truth in Reality at gmail.com, the email. You know, just type it in, it'll be up there.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you for hanging out with us. Seriously, this has been really fun. Like I really value your voice and like your energy and what you bring in here.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What are those packs behind you? Is that for your
Thank
3D
you. That's a good
printer?
question. Nobody's ever asked that. Those are Rife transmitters. We have a number of them. We did a training program last year and this year with people all over the world. And one of the first stages is that we do. Well, actually, we use it for the whole 6 months, but we do a energy body detox process. And so each one is a transmitter, and you just put a little bit of DNA in them. I think you had experiences with Rife recently, the Spooky 2 versions. These are the single transmitters, the XM units, and then I have
Can you show us? Can you
I could, but they're all attached together. They're literally all linked up through wires. And then I have a Generator X over to my left, which is just like a larger version of it, which in my opinion, it's one of the most effective and amazing healing technologies that are available. I think when you learn how to use it, not that I know how to use them, you can regenerate elements of your body and your spirit and systems in your body in ways that, you know, honestly, I'm surprised it's not illegal. I'm surprised, like, the medical mafia hasn't put the clamp down on these things, because there's things you can do with them, and they probably, you know, like, the AI is probably going, what? You know, right as I say this, but I mean, there's things that you can do with Rife technology right now, you guys, that will make elements of Western medicine utterly irrelevant.
Yeah.
And there's no needle, there's no pill, you know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My experience was the Rife generator, Spooky 2, the bigger one. It picked up my natural healing frequencies that are great for my body. And we ran those and they were okay. I didn't feel anything. Then we ran frequencies for specific disorders like TMJ and other things, and they made me super sick.
Yeah, so that's how you know it's working. That's how you know. It's like it stirs up the jar and you get sick and swollen and your eyes get all puffy and you get itchy and
Yeah, but no, it was making me sick to the point where I felt I was dying. So it was really the wrong frequencies.
Honestly, yes, that can also happen. You can damage yourself with it as well. That's why that's why we make people go through a 2-week detox using it. There's a thing that they have within the Spooky software known as the Terrain Detox, which is an 11-day cycle. And it works from the smallest to the largest frequencies or particles within the body. Everything from built up chemicals in your organs to all kinds of stuff through. Yeah. Anyway, it's a fascinating thing.
The thing for me was because the healing was done remotely for me, because I gave my nails my DNA, and it was hard to control the speeds and for the healer to control the stuff doing it, because I felt so like it was like dying.
Wow, that's rough. So, I'm sorry you had that. It's
no. You know, there's nothing to be sorry for, because this is a technology that helps people. I have a friend, his wife almost broke her back in a car accident, and it's healed that for her. One of these little generators. So, and I was told what I psychically got is that I have a lot of galactic DNA and a lot of frequencies in my body that are galactic and not human. That's why
So it might, yeah.
it affected something that's non-human in me and triggered the human body to react as a warning system and say, disconnect now and don't do this again. This is
That
not
makes sense.
appropriate for you, while it might be appropriate for others. So the spooky too, I've heard great things about it, and I'm sure it's helping somebody somewhere out there for their healing. And my friend also had this experience, and she's very sensitive, and it made her gut actually do something weird.
Oh, totally. It definitely can. If you don't know how to, or if you do not configure it properly, or if it's turned on just a little bit too high, or if there's a minor change in it, it can actually create the response that you're trying to get rid of. It's, it's part of the Herxheimer effect process, but yeah, it's definitely can.
And yeah, and I'm a researcher first and foremost. That's my education, library stuff. So for me, any device is interesting, very interesting to try and see how it works and what it does. If it helps me in my healing, great. If it doesn't, it's just not for me. It doesn't mean it's not the right thing for somebody else. And it can work and it does work. So I'm not sorry about trying it. It was interesting. I learned so much about it. It makes me a better healer knowing the device and how it works. So I was curious about.
You might not even need a Rife machine. Not everyone needs it. You know what I mean? It's a thing that, like, do we have them? Sometimes they're on, sometimes they're not. I've had them on for days at a time and gotten literally sick and weird from it and going like, whoa, okay, let's not do that for a while. So it's definitely a thing that is not necessarily appropriate for everyone. But anyway, yeah, it's a fascinating form of technology.
And I'm honest that usually, any type of healing or a form of healing, it might have side effects with it. And it might make you feel better, it might not, might make you feel worse, actually. So I went in with an open mind trying the spooky chew to see if something positive could happen. And if it was helpful for me, great. If it was not, I was fine with that too. So I didn't have this preconception of anything. I just went in. I got a 2-hour demo about the device, the generator, and how the software works and how the frequencies are run. And they did run frequencies on me, and they explained how the remote stuff works with the nails. And again, people, don't just give out your DNA to anybody.
I agree. Don't.
Yeah. If somebody on the street asks you for your nail clippings or a hair sample, think about why they're asking you for that. This guy is a great healer. I trust him. It was all on the up and up. So I gave nail clippings. I went in with a baggie and a nail clipper. Totally. I was ready to give my nails. And this was a healing exchange for that guy, actually. Yeah. My friend and I did a healing for him. He taught us the spooky too, and did healings for us and ran the frequencies. So it was an overall great experience because I got to learn about Rife technology. And I don't have a spooky too. He was kind enough to bring it to my friend's healing space to show us. He came from another city to do it with us. He received a healing, and we received the teaching of the device and also remote healing for the both of us. So it was a fair, equal exchange. Everything was good. It's just something in the galactic frequencies in my body are
You've got too much alien DNA.
Something to do with that is just not the right fit for me, or either for my friend, because she's galactic too. And we're both healers. We're both energy healers. So for us, it was great to learn about the technology, and I would still recommend for anybody to try it for healing, because you told me a lot of great things about it. And it's like, there's something really familiar about what I'm seeing in the background.
Yeah, yep, that's them. They're sitting there hanging out in the background. I don't think none of them are on, but they're there. But yeah. Anyway, thank you for noticing those. I realize we've done many false endings, but anyway, we're finally closing. We will do this again in the future. If you guys want to see the show continue, put a comment in the chat. I pray that it does. I don't know how much longer we're going to keep going. But yeah, thank you for showing up. Thanks for being a part of this strange journey. We have your websites in the chat there. I will post it on the description to the video later. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what else you're coming out with and what you're going to be doing. Thanks for being authentic and real, and just, thanks for being a part of this soul group.
Well, Hashtag boob lady.
Oh yeah, totally. And get ready, guys. We're gonna be having the boob lady on next week. Actually, no, there is no show next week. But that said, we are gonna be back tomorrow night, and I'm just gonna real casually pull you off the screen as we sort of roll out of here. We are gonna be back tomorrow night, you guys. We're gonna be doing a little bit of a roundtable kind of discussion with Ivan Teller. He's gonna be coming in, Yvonne DeWells, and Tyler Kowal. And what we're kind of doing is talking about the Secret Space Conference coming up next week, and also just talking about a couple, random details and strange things that are happening in the world right now. So we're going to do a little bit of a roundtable thing tomorrow night. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. So it's kind of, I think, right now it's almost 9 p.m. Eastern. So about an hour ago tomorrow night. That should confuse everyone. 1 hour ago tomorrow night, we're doing another show here on this channel. In the meantime, check out Ileana's work, you guys. And thank you for hanging out with us once again in this strange realm. There's a billion people going live on YouTube, and you guys found your way here. And so thanks for showing up. We will be back in the coming weeks. Once again, you can join us for our multidimensional tarot class, May 22nd. That's accessible through our website, rememberyourmission.com. It's really cool for anyone that wants to open up just another channel of intuitive ability in your body and really learn how to use tarot to kind of diagnose energy blockages, understand timelines, understand the motivations of other people, what's going on in your world, a bunch of cool things. We'll be starting that on May 22nd. And so in the meantime, I love you guys. Thanks for being a part of this strange family, and we will be back in the future.